Hello everyone, welcome to Whatifissei becomes the strongest Red Dragon Emperor Part 2. Chapter 12. Hidden Feelings. Issei's POV. As usual, I was at school. I decided to walk around the school with the girls because it's been a while since I've been at the school. It would help become familiar with the school and it would help the girls get familiar with it too. Eventually we ran into the perverted duo. It's been a few days, so they only had a lot less casts on them than the last time I saw them. They both started to tremble in fear as I walked towards them. Since they didn't have any casts on their arms, they used their arms to cover their faces from anything that I might do to them. I slowly approached them while having Cherry and Yurei on my shoulders. Look. I'm sorry I beat you two up the way I did. I apologized. Everyone that was around us was confused. They knew I had a deep hate for these two, too. So why was I apologizing? Motohama slowly removed his arms from his face. He was still nervous about what I could have planned for them. Are you pranking us? Mitsuda asked with fear in his voice. If you're gonna hit us and kick our asses, then just do it already. Motohama put his hands back on his face to cover it. No. I really am sorry. There's no excuse for the way that I acted. That's why I'm apologizing. I explained. I then walked up to them and handed them a letter. What's this? Mitsuda took the letter from my hand. He was still shaking. You'll know once you open it. I walked away from them with Cherry and Yurei on my shoulders. Issei. What did Issei give to the two perverts? Yurei asked me. Nothing. Just something I think they'll enjoy. I said as we continued to walk through the school. Motohama opened up the letter. Inside, there were two fake IDs and an address written on paper. They both looked at each other confused. He really apologized. I didn't think he had it in him. Sona said to Saji. I wonder why he won't apologize to me for what he did to me. Saji said selfishly. Well, you did try to fight him. Sona pointed out. That's because he made you cry. No one makes you cry. Saji said with his chest out. I appreciate it, Saji. But maybe next time, find a better way. Now get back to work. Sona demanded. Yes, President. Saji yelled as he ran to the office. Us three were heading to the orc room. I let them hop off of my shoulders and head to the couch. As they were getting themselves comfortable with Kaneko, I saw a clothesline with a bra, panties and a nun outfit hanging on it. A bra? What's th? I stopped talking because I heard someone humming. I looked around and I saw a silhouette in the shower. I could tell by the pitch of the voice that it was Asia. Then are these Asia's? I asked myself. Issei? I heard Cherry call me. Yes. I answered with a question. Can you tell me why you're holding a bra in your hands? Cherry interrogated. I picked up from the clothesline just to see who it was. I answered. Why? Are us two not good enough for you? Cherry asked. What are you talking about? I got confused by what she meant. We have that kind of underwear on too, you know. They lifted up their skirts to show that they were too, wearing white panties and a white bra. Come on. Put your skirts down. It's nothing like that. I told them. I looked at Kaneko and I could jealousy all over her face. She tried to hide it by looking away from the situation. Oh. I'm sorry. Asia apologized as she stepped out of the shower. Oh no, it's not your fault. It's mine for getting curious. I said as I put the bra back onto the clothing line. I walked over to the couch to sit on it for a few minutes. Issei. Riaz walked into the room with Akeno following. Oh. Hi Riaz. Why do you still have your skirts up? Put them down. I demanded. They put their skirts back down. Oh my. Were you having fun without us? Akeno said as she licked her lips in anticipation. No. These two got weird because I picked up Asia's bra. I explained. I'm sorry. Asia said as she put her hands together. Relax. It's not your fault. I told her once again. Issei. I heard that you apologized to Motohama and Mitsuda. Riaz mentioned. I don't know why, but I felt bad for what I did to them. So I apologized to them and gave them a little gift for when they get better. I explained to her. But I swear, if I catch them doing something like that again, I'm gonna make sure I kill them. I added. Oh my. So cruel. Akeno laughed. Ah well, we should get going. Come on, Asia. Everyone waved at us as we exited the room to head home. Not much happened after that. We just ate dinner, showered, brushed our teeth, and went to bed. The usual nighttime routine. I then woke up in the morning to a knock on my door. As annoyed as I was, I went to see who was knocking. I'm coming. I said. I got to the door and unlocked it. To my surprise, it was Riaz. Good morning. She smiled. One thing that was off was that she had a sweatsuit on. What are you doing here so early? I asked her. Hey. Who's that? Cherry asked as she rubbed her eyes awake. Oh. You all live together? Riaz asked me. Yes. I answered. Can I come in? She asked pointing to the inside of the house. Sure. I invited her in. I closed the door after she entered. Time skip. So what did you come here for? I asked as I served her breakfast. Oh. The food tastes good. She complimented. Why are you in a sweatsuit? I asked. Isn't it obvious? I want to train with you. She answered. To elaborate, I want to see how strong you are. She elaborated. I looked at Issei and Cherry. I guess you came here because you wanted to train too? I guessed. Yes. You're right. She confirmed as she fixed her hair. Okay. What a weird thing to ask for, but fine. We'll go to the gym. If anything happens there, I'm not responsible. I told her. Okay then. Let's go. Riaz said. Time skip. Riaz, me and Asia went off to train. Cherry and Issei didn't want to train so they stayed home. Riaz rode her bike with her and Asia on it, meanwhile I decided to run using my legs. I was faster than her. Come on. This isn't even training to me. It's just me running and you biking. I pointed out. We eventually stopped at the park. Okay then. Give me 500 push-ups. She demanded. Okay. I got on the ground and started to do my push-ups. Push-ups weren't a big deal for me. They were one of the easiest things for me to do now. Riaz and Asia watched as I sped through those push-ups. Amazing. Asia was impressed by what she was seeing. Riaz on the other hand thought she gave me too easy of a task. She walked to where I was doing my push-ups and sat on my back. What are you doing? I asked as I continued to do my push-ups with ease. Clearly, giving you the push-ups task was too easy of me. This should make it harder. She explained. It's making something harder. I teased as I continued doing push-ups with Riaz sitting on me. How are you still going? She asked shocked at how I was still able to do push-ups. Is this hard for the normal person? Please tell me. I forgot. I asked her. Obviously. She answered. Let me try something the normal person can't do. Riaz got off me as I stood up. I then used my middle and index finger to lift her up by her butt. Here. Can the normal person do this? I asked as I lifted her up using my fingers. Oh obviously not. She answered as I lifted her from between her thighs. Hey. Stop lifting me like this. She stuttered because she started to feel pleasure from my fingers rubbing against her crotch while I was lifting her. Mr. Issei. I think Riaz has had enough. Asia stepped in. Alright. Fine. Just a few more. I cut myself off because I heard a tear in Riaz's sweatsuit. Because she was heavy, my fingers ended up piercing her pants and slipped through to her pussy. Riaz moaned loudly without even realizing that she was moaning. I say. She moaned my name. I decided to play with her a little bit by rubbing my fingers that slipped inside of her pussy. Wow, Riaz. You're surprisingly a virgin. You haven't had a boyfriend yet? I asked her. And then no. There aren't any good guys out there. They're all oohing. I was able to each a spot deep inside of her because my fingers were way bigger than the average person's. And no. Stop. Take them out. After torturing her for about a minute I took my fingers out and she fell to the ground. She was breathing heavily as she dropped to the ground. You're so mean. I almost came, she said. I didn't say anything to that. Riaz. Are you okay? Asia ran over to her to help her off the floor. Once Riaz was off the floor, she looked at me staring at her. What? She asked. She watched as I looked at my fingers drenched from thrusting them in her pussy. I put both of my fingers in my mouth and swirled my tongue around my fingers. Once I was done, I took my fingers out of my mouth. I licked my lips to catch any remains that didn't go in my mouth. Well, I'm filled up for the day. I joked. Asia tried not to laugh because she thought what I did was serious. Now I can't get married. Marriage. I noticed that Riaz zoned out. Riaz. Are you okay? She ran off without even hearing my apology. Idiot. I heard her yell from a distance. You're so mean, Mr. Issei. Asia yelled at me as she ran after Riaz. See you at the house, I guess. I said as I walked in the opposite direction. Riaz was actually getting in some good exercise. Because she ran for over 15 minutes. I guess it had something to do with what I said. Thoughts? No. For the last time, I won't marry you, Rizer. She yelled. Come on. Don't be so stingy, Riaz. Rizer grabbed her by the arm which took her by surprise. Let go of me, you ugly bastard. She said as she took her arm back from him. Rizer snapped his fingers and his entire peerage appeared from a magic circle. My subordinates. Seize her and kill her peerage. Rizer demanded. The pawns of the peerage got into battle positions. Rizer's queen, Rizer himself and his sister walked up to Riaz. President. Kiba tried to run to her aid but was stopped by one of Rizer's rooks. No one will get in Lord Rizer's way. Isabella said as she grabbed him by his sword and stabbed him with it in his stomach. Hyoudou. Riaz yelled. Kaneko was taken and pinned to the ground. Isle and Nell then revved their chainsaws and drilled them into Kaneko's stomach. She tried to struggle out of their grip but just accepted her fate as she felt the chainsaw's chain penetrated her skin. Kaneko. Akeno screamed. She tried to use lightning magic to electrocute Isle and Nell, who were drilling their chainsaws into Kaneko's skin. She was stopped when a fireball hit her from behind. As expected of you, Bomb Queen. Riser praised his queen for obeying his demands. Everyone tears started to drop from their eyes. Look at them, Riaz. Riser commanded. Riaz looked at the field and saw what her peerage was going through. It disgusted her, and she looked back at Riser with tears in her eyes. This can all be avoided if you just agree to the marriage. After all, look what your subordinates are doing. They are fighting for you, Riaz. If you agree to the marriage, my family can heal them with what our family is known for. Riser explained as he cupped one of her cheeks with her hands. Our phoenix tears. Ravel finished for her brother. Everyone. I'm so sorry. Riaz broke down to the floor and started to sob. She covered her face from Riser as tears streamed down her face. Relax, Riaz. It'll all be okay. Riser said as he put his lips on hers. Riaz's eyes widened as she did not expect this. Even more tears started to stream down her face. Riaz wanted to push him off of her, but Riser was forcing himself onto her. So anything she tried wouldn't work. Real world. Riaz gagged at the thought of Riser kissing her. Out of disgust, she ran to the nearest garbage can and threw up. She was also still sobbing from those thoughts she was having, which made things worse for her. President. Asia yelled as she ran up to her. Asia covered her mouth in disgust as she watched Riaz throw up in the trash can. No. I won't marry him. Never. She said as tears streamed down her face. President Asia stood there in shock, not knowing what to do while still covering her mouth from shock. I decided that I wanted to go to the gym. It's been a while since I've been there, so I wanted to see if there were any more firsts that I could take. I decided to walk there because I didn't feel like using my wings. Eventually, I got to the front door of the gym. What's this? I saw that there was a poster that had my face on it. I was a bit confused why. But all that confusion would soon be gone when I read what was on the poster. And? It must be some mistake, right? I brushed off the poster and just walked in through the entrance. Immediately, the first thing that I noticed was that there was security. About 20 security guards ran up to me the moment I walked in. They all pulled out their tasers and aimed them at me. Stay right where you are. One of the security guards yelled. What the hell are you doing here? Didn't you see the poster? One of the guards yelled. Yeah, I did. I came to ask about that. Why am I banned from this place? I asked the security guards. I'm afraid that you'll have to talk to me about this matter. The owner of the gym stepped out from his office behind the security guards. Please follow me, big guy. He made me follow him towards the office. Please close the door behind you. He requested politely. The owner seemed nice and easy to talk to. He sat at his desk and I closed the door behind me. He invited me over to the chair in front of his desk for me to sit in. I gratefully sat on his seat. So what's the problem today? He asked and got straight to the point. Yeah. So I wanted to go to the gym today. And I see that there's a poster with my face on it that says I'm banned from coming here. Can you explain to me what that's about? I requested. Yeah. You see, my wife came to me saying that you tried to rape her and lots of other men and women when they went to confront you at your residence. Is this statement correct? He explained to me. What? Of course not. I answered calmly. The reason I had to ban you from this gym is because this kind of behavior is not acceptable and there's no excuse for it. Am I correct? He asked. Of course you are. There is no excuse for that kind of behavior. And I don't mean to call anybody a liar, I mean, except for your wife. She's a liar. I told him. Do you have any proof that this claim is false? The owner asked. Actually, I did. I remember that I recorded my encounter with them when they knocked on my door. I pulled out my phone to show him the video. Is that your wife in the back? I asked as I played the video. Yes. It is, in fact. He answered me. These people came to my house to try and scam me for the money I somehow earned. I explained. The video did make me look bad, but it somehow made them look even worse. And that's your daughter? He asked pointing at Office. I had totally forgot that she was the reason I didn't kill anyone. Yes. She's cute, isn't she? I asked him. Well, I can see where she gets her looks from. He said referencing my expressionless face. I'm glad you noticed. I said with clear sarcasm in my voice. So? In conclusion, I didn't hurt anyone. Plus I have three I call my girlfriends. What do I need her for? I pointed out. Well, last time you were here, you did have some girls with you. He remembered. So may I please be unbanned from the. I was interrupted by someone walking into the office. Darling, why are the guards guarding the door to the office? She froze as she looked at me. What's he doing here? She yelled. Honey. Why did you lie? The owner asked his wife. Why I did not lie. Where did you get such nonsense? Her sentence was stopped as the owner showed her the video. She was in pure shock. I don't mean this in a mean way to you, but your wife's a huge bitch. I said blatantly with her in the room. Hey, you watch your mouth. She was about to slap me in my face, but her hand's motion was stopped by her husband. How many times have I told you not to hit people? Honestly, you act like such a child. The owner said to his wife. You lied to me just to get a customer out of the gym. This isn't your first time either, honey. Remember how you lied to the hospital saying you were paying the medical bill? The owner asked his wife. Why you know? His wife cowered. You used my credit card. Of course I would know. But I let it slide. That also wasn't the first time you've used my credit card for large purchases either. The owner mentioned. I've just about had enough of you. He took off his ring. I'm gonna file for a divorce. He said. The wife was about to say something, but she was interrupted by the owner. We'll have this conversation later. For now, just get out of my sight. He shooed her out of the office. She began to sob loudly as she ran out of the office. I'm very sorry about that. I'm happy to terminate the posters and welcome you back to the gym. No catch. Sound good? He stuck his hand out to me. Of course. I shook his hand. I'm Skip. Not what I thought would happen when I went there. That was by far the least of what I expected. What I do hope for is to never see that stupid bitch again. That owner's a nice guy and he deserves better. After all that, I decided to go get some ice cream. I didn't really have a reason other than the fact that I wanted some ice cream. There was a discount at the ice cream store where it was 3 for $2, $2 and 5 for $8. I wanted to get some for Riaz as an apology for whatever it was that I did. Thank you. I said as I gave him the money. I then took all 5 ice cream cones and stored them away for when I got to the house. Again. He yelled as he waved goodbye to me. Next. He yelled to the next person in line. I continued my walk up the huge slanted road to my house. I got home safely without any issue. When I got to the front of my house, Asia, Riaz and a bunch of boxes were waiting for me. Mr. Issei. Asia waved at me smiling. Riaz just had a smile on her face, meaning she was happy to see me more or less. Hi. What's all this stuff doing here? I asked. Is Riaz moving in? I added another question. No. This is all of my stuff. Asia blushed. Oh. So this is like all your stuff. Got it. Where'd you get it all from? I asked her. Riaz helped me get it all from the church. She answered as she continued to blush. Well, you can't feel at home without your stuff, I guess. Come on. I'll help you get it all in. I offered as I grabbed half of the boxes that were on the grass. I opened the door and was met with a surprise. Issei. My mom and dad were back from their work. Oh. You two are home. Welcome back. I completely ignored them and carried the boxes up the stairs. Mom and dad watched as I carried all the boxes up the stairs with perfect balance and ease. That's our son, right? My dad asked my mom. I think so. But who's moving in? Mom asked with confusion. I'm Skip. I'm Asia Argento. Please call me Asia. I'm sorry for intruding in on your home, Mr. and Mrs. Hyoudou. Asia apologized. As my dad let out a sound. Dad? I asked. So cute. Issei. Where did you find such a cute girl? My dad let out a scream for his life. He was astonished by Asia's cuteness and her voice. My mom had to pinch his cheek hard for him to calm down. Issei saved me from some horrible people. I owe my life to him. She said as she caressed my cheek. I decided to offer her to stay here before any more people could get to her. She's been through a lot and I'm trying to not let her get hurt anymore. I explained to them. Issei. You can't go around offering people to stay at our house without asking us first. My mom asserted. Sorry. I apologized. Please don't blame Issei. He's been very nice to me and he's been my only friend since I've came here. If you don't want me here, then I'll have Issei remove my stuff from your house. Asia said as she looked down to the floor in sadness. Wait. We never said that. Please stay. We promise to take very good care of you. Mom and dad bowed and begged for Asia to stay. Thank you so much. Asia smiled. Now who are you? Mom asked pointing at Riaz. Oh. She's a really hot friend of mine. I joked. Be quiet. We're friends and friends only. Riaz asserted to me and she stomped her foot down to the floor. She also blushed but looked away as soon as she did. If you say so. I said as I got up from the couch. Come on, Asia. Let's go put all your stuff in your room. I walked up the stairs with Asia following behind me. Riaz and my parents stayed in the living room. I assumed that there was pure silence because I didn't hear any of them say a word until I left. So, you like my son, don't you? Mom asked Riaz. Riaz didn't answer her. She ended up blushing at what she said. My mom smiled at her. You better hurry up and confess to him. He already has a lot of girlfriends. And with people seeing how strong he is, people are going to want to be with him. My dad explained to her. Riaz nodded at them and then walked up to Asia's room. Wow. You made it so pretty. Asia exclaimed. Her eyes lit up as she looked around the room. It was full of pink-purple paint on the wall, about five wardrobes, and two bathrooms. You really made this room for her. Ria stepped in the room. Yeah. Well, she's starting school soon, and I thought I'd give Asia her own room. I said. And have her sleeping in that room with me all the time. Certain people get jealous whenever there's another girl besides them in the bed with me. I said, referring to Issei and Cherry. They always give any girl that's there besides each other a certain look. Their looks don't only show anger, they also show jealousy. Well, Asia. Since you're living here, how about I teach you how to be a housewife? Ria suggested. Asia was confused by what Ria was meaning to say. Housewife? Asia asked. I sighed at what was going to happen to Asia. I left the room to Asia and Ria's and headed to my room. Cherry was playing games on her phone and Issei was just listening to music with her headphones on while wearing a light purple sweater. I walked over to the bed and embraced them. I love you. I whispered to them. They reciprocated that by kissing me on my cheeks. I wish life could just be us four. I said. Four? Cherry asked. I opened a magic circle and Irina hopped out of it and landed on my head. I pointed at her. Four. I pointed at Irina on top of my head. I ended up starting to become drowsy and just went to sleep. Issei, Cherry and Irina soon followed. We all slept together like a wolf pack. No one's POV. Ria's dream. Ria's was in the orc room. She was thinking about her upcoming marriage with Riser. For some context, from Ria's and Riser's parent agreement, Ria's was arranged to marry Riser. Ria's didn't have a way to counter this. She knew that she didn't have a way out of this at the moment. Ria's was purely disgusted by Riser. His presence annoyed her to no extent. What should I do? I don't want to marry him. She thought. There was only one person that she wanted to marry. Issei. She blushed as she thought about him. He used to be such a cutie to her. He would always turn his face to the good side of things. Despite Issei no longer being the same person he was before, Ria's feelings for him stayed the same. Ria's love for Issei dated all the way back to when he first came to the school. Back at Issei's old schools, Issei would be teased a lot by people because they knew he was the nice guy, so he wasn't going to do anything to hurt them. He would also get made fun of a lot because his voice was on the more higher pitch than most of the kids his age. Despite him spending most of his time at school, when Issei's family moved to Kuo, Issei was transferred to his new school, Kuo Academy. Issei was always seen as the never-stop-smiling boy. He chose not to talk to much people, but if someone did greet him, he would of course greet them back. When it came to Issei, Ria's always thought there was something weird about him. Everybody thought the same thing. Ria started to harbor feelings for him during their first encounter. Flashback. Look. It's the new kid. Why is he smiling so hard? It looks forced. One of the kendo club members said. There was starting to become a noise problem because of Issei and his arrival at the school. What's going on? Ria's asked. We have a new kid at the school. Kaneko answered. Oh. Do we? Ria's asked. His name is Issei Hyoudou. Akeno added. Issei. Ria said as she placed her knight on Akeno's pawn, killing it. Sounds like an interesting name. Checkmate. Now. Let's see who Issei is. Ria said as she got up from her spot on the couch. Outside where the gate was, everybody kept staring at Issei. Ria's came out to see what was happening. Oh my god. It's Ria's. A girl screamed. Pretty soon, all of the girls started to bow to her. It was like she was idolized as some sort of god. Ria's approached Issei. What's wrong? Issei asked Ria's. Ria's was confused by what Issei was asking. You look so sad. Why? Issei asked with some concern in his voice. Ria's couldn't answer him. She knew that it wouldn't make sense if she told him why she looked so sad. What surprised Ria's and everybody else was when Issei kissed Ria's on her forehead. Ria's was taken aback by this action, but she didn't push Issei away. Please. Don't be sad. Issei begun. Look at how much all of these people love you. Ria's looked around at all the kids. She didn't realize it much before, but she really was admired a whole lot by almost everyone. A good percentage of those being girls. What's there to be sad about? He asked, putting his forehead against hers while cupping her cheek. Maybe you don't see the world the way I do. But I think you should try to smile. I'm sure you look pretty when you do. Issei suggested. You're right. Ria smiled. I should. She said. See? You look amazing. Issei complimented her. Oh. Thank you. She accepted the compliment. Well, I should probably head to class now. See ya. Issei waved at her as he ran into the school to his class. What just happened? Ria's wondered. Flashback over. Ria's blushed as she remembered that Issei like it was just yesterday. Her reminiscing was stopped when Akeno and Kiba walked through the door. They both caught glimpses of Ria's daydreaming. Oh my. Looks like President's daydreaming about that again. Akeno laughed. Aw. How do you always know? Ria's asked. I'm sorry, President. But there's a certain face you make when you think about that. Kiba added. You always look so love-struck, President. Akeno said to Rias. Just confess to him already, President. I'm pretty sure he already knows. Kiba suggested. HMPH. If he already knows then I shouldn't have to confess anything to him. Rias blushed as she looked away from the two of them. Always as stubborn as ever, President. Issei whispered into her ear. Rias was freaked out by this, so she ended up overreacting using some of her demonic magic on him. Issei was easily able to deflect it off of him and into the bathing space of the room. There was an explosion, but everybody ignored it. Issei. WWW, what are you doing here? Rias stuttered nervously. I came to see you, of course. Issei answered her. So you love me, don't you? Issei was blatant. Rias blushed even harder. It was hard for her to do, but she nodded to Issei's question. Well, that's good news for me. Issei picked her up. Wait, wah, Rias was interrupted by a kiss that was planted on her lips. She blushed even harder than before, but she kissed him back with passion. After a few seconds, because I love you too. I confessed to her. That's not fair. Rias said. What? Issei said, confused. You can't smile. You always told me to smile. Remember? Rias said, trying to remind Issei. I think I did. Don't worry. My ability to find love is still here at least. I guess there are only two kinds of emotions I have towards people. It's either I want to kill them or I want to love them. Issei explained to her. By the way, I still haven't figured it out yet. Why were you so sad on my first day of school? Issei asked her. Everybody else knew about it, but Issei didn't. Rias then went on to explain her situation to Issei with everybody confirming it. Wow. Was all Issei could say to it. I didn't want to tell you back then because it wouldn't have made sense to you. Plus, it wasn't really your problem. Rias explained. I guess I'll make a note to kill your dumb parents. They're the ones that got you into this mess. Well, I'm gonna make them into a mess. Issei summoned some light magic in his hand. A really bloody mess that is. Issei finished. Rias understood that this upset Issei. Rias tried to sit Issei back down into the couch. Please don't do that. Rias begged. Kaneko and Asia walked into the room. What happened? Asia asked as she waved to everybody. Rias confessed her love for Issei to him. Akeno answered. Akeno. Rias yelled at her. Akeno laughed at Rias' embarrassment. While everyone was laughing at everything that was happening, a magic circle opened up in the orc room. 16 people entered through the circle. The person that stood out was a blonde tall man. Riser has entered the building. Riser said, sounding ignorant. Riser, it's not that time yet. And as I've made it clear before, I'm not going to marry you. Rias stood up for herself. Don't be so selfish, Rias. You know where the underworld is at now that the Great War is over. Many pure-blood devils got killed. It's up to you and me to help restore them. Riser explained to her. Riser tried to put his hands on her thighs, but was stopped by Issei. What's wrong with you? Issei asked him. Did you just touch me? Riser gasped. He always acts like he's above everybody. Issei responded by slapping him in the face. Yeah. I just touched you again. Issei slapped him in the face again, only harder this time. I just did it again. What are you going to do? Issei stood over him. Being as terrified as he was, he called for help from his peerage. Mira. Riser stepped back behind his peerage and his pawn stood up. Show him not to mess with me. Mira nodded. She ran up to Issei and took out her staff as she rushed over to him. Issei just stood there unfazed by her upcoming attack. Mira eventually reached Issei. She jumped and tried to clobber him on his head with her staff. Issei was way more powerful than her, so she stood no chance. Issei grabbed her by her staff. He yanked it out of her hands and threw it to the side. Issei then put both of his hands on her arms. What are you doing? She asked nervously. Issei made her look deep into his cold red eyes. Issei then snapped her arm in half. Mira screamed in pain after Issei dropped her to the ground. Issei wasn't finished yet though. Issei then blast kicked her towards Riser's peerage. Everybody was knocked over when Mira made impact with him. You monster. Riser yelled. His peerage went to Mira's care, but Riser could care less about that. There he is. Issei said to her. Yes. She asked nervously. Take off your clothes. Issei demanded. Rias was shocked by Issei's words, but still complied with them. Yes. She said as she undid her top and her bottom. Issei had to freeze Riser in his place with ice magic to keep him from going anywhere. Good luck trying to get out of that. Issei said as he turned his head to Rias. Rias now had only her bra and panties showing. All Riser could do was watch what was happening. He tried to break out of the ice, but his magic was too weak. And if he couldn't break out, then there was no way his peerage could get him out. They know because they've already tried. Issei walked over to a couch in the room and sat on it. Rias. Come over here. Issei demanded. Rias walked over to the couch and sat on his lap. "What so you plan to do to me?" she asked. Issei put his hands on her stomach and slowly made his way up to her breasts. Riaz moaned slightly. "That tickles," she said. "Tell me, Riaz. But not just me, tell everyone in this room the truth. Do you like Riser at all?" Issei asked her as he began to massage her breasts with his hands. "And no," she moaned. Issei then moved his hands from her breasts to her thighs. He began to move his hands in a circle motion on her thighs. "You monster. Get your hands off of my fiancé," Riser demanded. "Riaz, who do you want to marry you? Be honest," Issei asked her. "You?" She didn't even hesitate to answer the question. "I want you, Issei," she made clear. "Riaz has spoken, Riser. I'll do you a favor and I'll just kill you and your peerage now." Issei summoned his Excalibur and pointed it towards Riser and everybody in his peerage. "Issei. Issei." Riaz hugged him hard. "But first, I'll make you watch me give Riaz pleasure you could never give her," Issei said as he flipped Riaz's position around. Riaz was now on all fours. Issei began by rubbing her through her panties. "And no. Not there, please. You're rubbing my embarrassing part," she begged as she grabbed onto the couch. "Look at her, Riser. Look at her face in pleasure." Issei forced Riser to look at Riaz's face. "No. No. Stop. You're rubbing me too fast. I'm gonna come." Riaz yelled loudly for everyone in the room to hear. "Real world, Issei's POV. I'm gonna Riaz muttered. She then felt something warm but wet rush out of her and into the sheets of the bed. Riaz soon woke up confused about what just happened. "It was a dream, huh?" Riaz was saddened. She looked up from the bed and saw that I was staring at her. "Ah!" she screamed. "Good morning, Riaz." I greeted her. "Good morning." "Good morning, Issei. Why were you watching me sleep?" Riaz asked me. "You looked like you were enjoying it a lot. You were moving a lot in your sleep, so I decided to take a peek at your dream," I explained to her. Riaz started to blush really hard. Her face was as red as a tomato. "So you've liked me for that long, huh?" Issei proved he did see her dream. Words alone can influence someone for the rest of their life. Who would have thought? Not me, I admitted. "And no. That was from back then. I hate you now. I despise you now. You're the worst," she said, trying to act like she didn't like me now. "If you say so." I sighed. "Is that all you saw from it?" Riaz asked with her face still red. "Yeah. After all, that's all I wanted to find out. As for why you peed in the bed, I have no clue what you were dreaming about," I admitted. Riaz didn't notice until I said it, but the dream she had made her pee in the bed. Upon seeing the sheets wet and soggy, she tried to cover it up with a blanket as fast as she could. "Don't look at it," she yelled. "Well, you don't see a princess wet the bed every day, do you?" I joked. "I'm sorry. I'll clean it right now," she shouted. I patted Riaz on her head to calm her down. "Relax. It's not a big deal," I told her as I snapped my fingers. Riaz was surprised when she looked down and saw that spot where she peed was gone. It was still the same sheet. I just got rid of the stain. "You're that powerful, aren't you?" Riaz asked. "What are you talking about?" I asked her back. "You can just use magic for little tasks like this. You realize how much of a threat you are to the underworld, right?" Riaz interrogated me. "Of course I do. As soon as people find out I have power, they either want to be on the same side as me or they want to kill me," I told her. "I haven't told you yet, have I?" I asked her. "Told me what?" she asked me. "That my parents were killed by fallen angels." I told her. But your parents? They're in the house," she said to me. "I said were killed, Riaz. I brought them back to life, or I revived them. Or whatever you call it." I told her. She muttered as she leaned against me. "Where'd you get all of this power from?" she asked. I levitated the skeleton head I had hung on the wall over to us. "Hey Denzel." I greeted him for the first time in a while. "Hey Issei. I see you haven't forgotten about me." He greeted me back. "What? Did it just talk?" Riaz was freaked out. "I'm surprised she hasn't woken up Issei and Cherry yet." They were sleeping on the opposite side of Riaz. "Yes, it did. Riaz, this is Denzel, the former most powerful being in the supernatural." I introduced him. "Denzel?" Riaz asked. "Nice to meet you, Riaz Gremory." Denzel greeted her. "Oh? Nice to meet you, Denzel." She greeted him back. "After my parents were killed, I felt mad. I wanted revenge. I had felt angry for the first time in my life. Then out of nowhere, Denzel appeared. He told me he could make me the most powerful person ever." I explained to her. "That's right. I trained you from the happy little bitch that you were." "No one's ever that happy, Issei," Denzel said. "Yeah, I guess you're right." Denzel also showed me that I had drag hidden inside of me. I told her. "Yes. Issei got very lucky. He's the Red Dragon Emperor, he's a dragon himself, and he's a threat to everyone." Drake praised. "That last thing you said isn't meant to make me sound lucky, Drake. but it does in a way. I sighed. I would train with Denzel during the day. He would help me with my magic and I would train with Drake during the night. He would help me train my boosted gear and things like my stamina, strength, and my endurance. Later along the lines, I needed some weapons, so I tried to create some pistols, but they resulted in these two right here. I explained as I patted Issei and Cherry on their heads. They were very loyal to me. I then named them based on the way they looked, if I remember correctly. I tried to remember. Later, my battle with Denzel eventually came. I was training in this place Denzel showed me called the Void. Take a look. I opened a little magic circle that led to it. Ria stuck her head through it. I don't see anything. She told me. Then what I showed you was the Void. It's the place where I've spent most of my time training. There came a time where I had to make a choice. I wanted to defeat this skeleton of a guy. So Drake suggested that I become a dragon. I traded my humanity and my emotions for it. So I'm stuck with this expression. I explained to her. But if you look on the bright side, which I can't, I got out of the bed to showcase it. I have these huge dragon wings now. Even though I don't need to, I can fly with them. I told her. Anyways, I defeated Denzel, got all magic knowledge and the magic itself, and this sword. I summoned the sword to show it to Riaz. Wow. She said amazed at the sword. Hold it. I slowly handed the sword to her. The moment the sword was fully in her hand, she fell to the ground from how heavy it was. I could hear Drake laughing. Come on, Issei. You knew she wouldn't be able to carry the sword. Drake laughed. Oh yeah. I forgot to tell you. The sword is very heavy. I mentioned to her. Ouch. She said with her face planted into the ground. Ms. Grimmery. You sure love to sleep with your clothes off. Drake mentioned. Yeah. She says that she can't sleep with clothes on. I told her. It's true. I can't sleep with clothes on. She confirmed. You know, things can happen to you if you sleep like that. For example, I could have done something like this. I summoned a pointer stick with a finger at the end of it. I began to approach Riaz with the stick. What are you doing? She backed away from me. I could feel Drake smiling at me. Oh. Nothing. I said, pausing for a moment after every word. I began to push the finger part of the stick onto her nipples. I pushed down on her nipples. She began to make little moaning noises, but she tried to suppress them. And no. She muttered. I stopped after I heard her moan. Riaz went to the bathroom to get ready for us to leave after that. And she keeps saying that she doesn't have any attraction to you. It's obvious. Drake said. I know. Maybe there's a reason she can't love me or something. Wonder what it is though. I wondered. I'm Skip. We were walking to the school. Asia made us breakfast today and asked us to critique it. For her first time cooking, it was actually very good. Everybody enjoyed it. As we were walking to school, I noticed three individuals that were together. And they all looked oddly familiar. Before go to school. I've got something to take care of. I said suspiciously as I walked in the direction of three boys. Is he okay? Asia asked worried as she watched me walk off. We're sure he's fine. Let's just go. Cherry redirected them in the direction of the school while I went off in the other direction. I was surprised I was able to recognize these three. I'm even more surprised to see that they still know each other. These three were people I wanted revenge on for so long. I watched them as they walked closer towards me. Yeah. And that's when I told him to fuck off. One of them said. The other two started laughing like crazy. It was like watching Ed and Eddie. No way. You're talking about that guy we killed? The second one asked. No. I'm talking about the guy and his girl that we sent to the hospital. I think the girl died from internal bleeding or some dumb shit. The third one corrected his friend. They were laughing like crazy for about a minute until I accidentally bumped into them. Oh. Sorry. I gave them an emotionless and half-assed apology. Watch where the fuck you're going. The third one said as he tried to swoop me with his legs from below. I was able to see it coming easily. So I jumped and he missed his attack. And because of my mass body weight, when I landed on his legs, his bones shattered into pieces. He screamed in pain as he held his broken legs in his arms. Yes. They were that broken. You bastard. They said in unison as they got ready to jump me. You jerks never learn to stop, do you? Kaki, Kaiten, Mosu. I said all three of their names. They all gasped and jumped away from me. Who are you? They demanded to know. Oh. So you don't recognize me? Well, that's no surprise. Perhaps if I show you this picture. I showed them our class photo. All three of them were always the tallest in the class. I pointed to the person in the middle. That was me back then. No way. They looked at the photo and then looked back up at me. Crazy how times flies, isn't it? I said, taking a step towards them. They were backed into a corner so they had nowhere to run. You three always tried your best to hurt me. Tried to make me frown. You threw rocks at me. You threw chairs at me. You even somehow threw tables at me. Well, now it's your turn. I summoned my Excalibur sword. What is that? They asked with clear fear in their voices. It's a sword. I'm gonna cut your heads off. I told them. Look. We're sorry, Issei. We were stupid back then. Kaki tried to apologize. And you still are now. Goodbye, scumbags. I said greeted them goodbye coldly as I got ready to swing my sword. No. 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 Please. We don't want to die. We'll do anything. Kaki pleaded for his life. Yes. We'll do anything. We'll suck your. Kaiten's sentence was cut off by my sword hitting his head. With one clean swing of my sword to their necks, their heads slid off their bodies. The last thing that was heard of them before I chopped their heads off was their screams that echoed throughout the entire town. Blood soon erupted from their necks. Revenge is indeed sweet, isn't it? I said to myself. Time skip. School was now over and I was in the orc room with Issei and Cherry. We slept on each other as usual. I looked towards Riaz. She seemed to be thinking hard about something. Riaz. You okay? I asked. She snapped out of it. Oh. Sorry. I was spacing out. She apologized. Asia. She called her. Yes. Asia answered Riaz. Riaz stood up from her chair. I'm thinking about having you debut tonight. Riaz told her. Debut? She didn't know what she meant by that. It's when you teleport through a magic circle to someone's house and you form a contract. But isn't it too early for her? She's only been a demon for a few days. I asked her. Actually, no. Akeno answered. As far as I know, Asia's demonic power ranks just below mine. Akeno explained. That's amazing. Kiba complimented Asia. Oh really? Asia stuttered. You're very capable, Asia. Riaz praised her. See, come on, she scratched the back of her head while smiling from all the praise she was getting. Asia, do you accept it? Riaz asked her. Since it's your order, I stood up from the couch. Riaz, may I go instead of Asia, please? I requested. Sure. But may I ask why? She asked me. I just feel like she needs to be adjusted to this lifestyle a bit more. She's still not familiar with this country. You know? I reasoned with her. Okay then. She agreed with me. Time skip. I felt like Asia hadn't spent enough of her time as a devil. Plus she's not completely familiar with this place. I do worry for her. When a devil gets a summoning, they don't know who the other party is. I said to myself. People are weird these days. I said as I walked to the apartment. 206. This is it. I said to myself as I got my hand ready to knock. It's open. Come in, yo. I heard a voice from the other side of the door. In, yo? What the hell is that? I wondered. I skipped the whole knock thing and just opened the door. I was met with a man in his 20s wearing a magical girl costume. Something similar to what Seraphil wears. Welcome. I'm Miltan. Miltan introduced himself. Compared to any normal person, he was a big, tall and scary guy. Only thing is, I'm a bigger, taller and scarier guy. Did you summon a devil from the Gremory household? I asked him, blatantly trying to get straight to the point. I sure did. I summoned you to do me a favor. He said. What? I was confused. Miltan put his hands together. Please make me a magical girl. He made his request to me. But I sighed. I then had an evil but a really good idea. So you want to be magical, you say? I summoned fire in my hand and my dragon wings sprouted from my back. Yes. I really do. He practically begged on his knees. And what are those wings? Are you not a devil? He asked. Not that it matters, but I'm a dragon. The most powerful, in fact. I told him. His eyes seemed to light up. The dragon, he yelled. Hey. Keep your voice down. It's late and I don't want to wake anybody up. He let me inside of his house. Time skip. I feel like what I did was a mistake that I can't go and take back now. Flashback. Now. Here's the deal. I pulled out a piece of chocolate. This piece of chocolate will make you magical. But only for 3 days. I explained. He put his hand out trying to grab the piece of chocolate. I closed my hand the moment he tried to reach for it. But here's the deal. You have to form a contract with me. I said. Deal? He said, excited for his dream to come true. I also have one more condition. I added. I have two very good friends of mine who want to have the time of their life. If you know what I mean. I think you can give it to them, right? I asked. Of course. I'll do anything to become a magical girl. Miltan accepted my deal. We ended up shaking on it. I handed him the piece of chocolate and then left the apartment complex. Flashback over. Whatever. It'll be worth to see them cry again. I thought to myself. You sure are evil, Issei. Drake told me. Yeah. I know I am. But not to everyone. I just teased them. Is that yeah, that's the right word. I thought to myself as I made my way back to the house. Time skip. Man, it's so warm outside today. We were doing exercises outside this time. Everybody was doing their warm-up stretches. Cherry was showing off her flexibility to everyone, while Yurei could care less. "You're bored, aren't you?" I asked Yurei. "Yes." She answered me. "You know, we don't have to participate," I said as I removed my shirt revealing my bare chest. Yurei leaned on top of me. I could hear her making noises, indicating that she felt relaxed. "Issei." Yurei noticed Issei can summon weapons. Yurei brought up. "Oh yeah. I can now summon my weapons without you too. Is that a problem?" I asked Yurei. She nodded her head no. "Yurei just wants to know why." Yurei said to me. "While having you two be my weapons is nice, I think it's better having you and Cherry separated from my weapons. I like having you two around all the time." I explained to Yurei. "Plus, I wanted to make you two dragons as well. Check out your wings," I said to her. She looked surprised when I mentioned that she and Cherry were dragons now. "Wings?" Huge dark purple dragon wings expanded from behind her back. "Cool." She commented on the way her wings looked. "I even made your wings your favorite colors," I told her. "Thank you," she said with appreciation in her voice. We hugged for a few seconds after that and went on to play tennis. Once that was over, we went to put our normal clothes back on. AKA, me casually having no shirt on. We went to the occult research club. Basically, we're now a part of it since we're always around and always helping with their activites. "Hello, fallen angel who makes very good tea." I greeted Akeno. "Oh my. That's my name now." Akeno laughed. "Hello, red-haired princess who says she hates me." I greeted Riaz at her table. "I hate you," she said playfully. "I know. And hello, little white kitten who couldn't wait until we got home." It took everybody a while to get the joke, but once they did, they started to laugh their asses off. Kaneko took the longest to answer the joke. But once she did, she started to blush like no other. "Just kidding." I joked with her as I sat down on one of the two couches in the room. "Riaz. I have another message from the Archduke," Akeno said as she walked up to Riaz holding her teaset. "Apparently there's been a killing near the school. Three people are dead," Akeno mentioned to her. "Was it a stray?" Riaz asked her. "We don't know yet. It said that the boys have signs of being killed by someone with a holy sword," Akeno added. "Then we better be careful. I don't want any of you to get hurt during this mission," Riaz said as she opened a magic circle to the location. "Asia. This is your first time, so you'll be seeing how devils in a peerage operate," Riaz said looking at Asia. Yes," she responded. "Issei. Will you and your mates be so kind to join us?" Riaz requested. I guess. There's nothing better to do. Come on, you two." I grabbed Yurei and Cherry and carried them on my shoulders. "Time skip. Looks like this is the place. Everyone, be on guard," Riaz warned everyone. We continued to walk in this dark alleyway. We all eventually came to a stop when we heard a crunch. Riaz was in the front so it obviously came from her. Riaz looked down and saw that she stepped on someone's head. There was a trail of blood that led up to the person's head. There was also a rotten stench that was eroding from the end of the alleyway. We followed the stinky smell all the way to the end of the alleyway. Asia covered her mouth as her eyes widened in shock. Everybody else except me and Yurei had a similar reaction. This is Riaz walked up to the three bodies that laid there motionless. Accompanying the bodies beside them were their corresponding heads. All over the floor was blood that had somehow spread to the walls. Who would do something like this? Kiba asked disgusted at the sight of the dead bodies. "Oh, shit. Looks like I forgot to clean this up," I said as I put Yurei and Cherry down from my shoulders. "Wait to say." Kaneko looked at me. Her eyes widened in realization. And so did everybody else's. "Yeah. Is there a problem?" I asked with my voice matching the eerie atmosphere. "Did you kill them?" Riaz interrogated me. "Yeah. I did," I answered truthfully. "Oh? Why?" Akeno asked. "Because they deserved it. The years and countless things they've done to people, including me. It was about time that they got what was coming to them." My voice deepened upon talking about this subject. Well, I guess that's solved now. Good work everyone." Riaz tried to praise her peerage. She opened her magic circle back to the orc room. I was the last to enter through. A couple hours passed since then. Riaz said she told the Archduke that they killed the person responsible for those deaths. She was clearly lying because I'm still here. I was alone in the room with the exception of Yurei and Cherry sleeping on the couch. Everybody had their own business to take care of. Just for fun, I tried to do something fun and unique. I summoned a random woman from whatever business she had into the room. I then summoned my Denzel. What? Wait, she put her arms up in front of her to try and protect herself. One clean swing with the sword was all it took to smoothly slice her head off. I wanted to test to see if my healing could regrow lost limbs. I snapped my fingers and her head started to grow back. Once her head grew back successfully, I sent back to whatever business she had without any memory of what just happened. I wonder if that works. I thought to myself. I focused on myself and closed my eyes for a few seconds. When I opened them back up, the first thing that I noticed was that I had four arms. I guess this is helpful. I thought out loud to myself. While I was thinking to myself, someone walked into the room. Hey. Riaz greeted me with confusion in her voice. Hi. I greeted her back. I put my other arms away. What was that? She asked me. Oh. Just trying something. I answered to her. Okay then. She walked over to the table she sat at. Issei. Can you come here for a second? She requested. Sure. I answered without a problem. Issei. What's it like being in a romantic relationship with someone you love? She asked me. I turned to Issei and Cherry who were both sleeping on the couch. It's amazing. It's pure bliss. I described to her. Oh? Bliss. She looked down. I turned my head back to her. I mean, one shouldn't go out with someone they absolutely hate, right? I questioned. That's just an unwritten rule that everybody knows from the moment they're born. I explained. I looked at Riaz. She appeared to be saddened by my words. Oh. I think I've said too much. Sorry. I apologized to Riaz. Oh no. I appreciate the answer. She said. Riaz. She was started to take steps into my direction. The gap of space between us was soon closed by her wrapping her arms around my chest. Is there a problem? I asked. It was out of nowhere that she just began to hug me. Please don't say anything. Just let this happen. Please. I could hear little sobs in her voice. I decided to embrace her back. Clearly, I had triggered something when I answered her question about a romantic relationship. Don't worry about it. Whatever you're going through, it's going to be alright. I even brought out my extra arms. The third arm of mine wrapped itself around her, while my fourth arm carefully caressed her hair. Her hair smells so good from here. I thought to myself. My thoughts were suddenly interrupted when Riaz began to sob. Her face was buried in my chest, so her sobs were hard to hear. I could feel water start to Issei. She sobbed my name. Relax. You're safe. I assured her. I know that my deep voice can be terrifying to hear. But if I wanted to, I can also make it sound soft and reassuring for people. That was a talent that I had with this voice. Pretty soon, the entire club walked into the room. Hell, Asia's greetings were stopped as she got a look at the scene. Don't worry, Riaz. I'm here. They're here. Whatever bad thoughts you're having, let them all out. I acted calmly and embraced her even tighter. This triggered her to sob even more. Riaz Akeno thought to herself. It has been a while since that time, hasn't it, Riaz? Akeno thought to herself even more. Everybody just watched Riaz sob hard in my arms. Don't worry, it's good to cry. I said as I continued to caress her hair. Chapter 13. Unfair dodgeball match familiar. Issei's POV. I was sleeping on one of the couches. I always make sure that I get enough sleep at home, but it'll never matter where I am. Sleeping feels good, and it always will. Asia was getting ready to go out and distribute flyers. Okay. I'm ready. Asia said to Riaz. Good, Asia. Now, if you want, you just need to wake up him. Riaz said, pointing to me as if I was some sort of beast. Asia was scared to do that. She heard about what happened to Kaneko when she tried to wake me up. She squealed a little at the thought of that happening to her. Relax, Asia. I remembered. I'm up from my slumber. I said, acting like I was some sort of high class. Even though I am a high class being that everyone wants to make past tense, I don't enjoy treating people like garbage unless they deserve it. Asia sighed in relief as she ran over to me. My huge dragon wings sprouted from my back. Hop on. I said as I signaled her to get onto my back. Asia smiled and giggled as she climbed onto my back, making sure she was holding on as tight as she could. Asia, you're very lucky to have Issei make your job easier, you know that? Riaz questioned Asia. Of course. I'm very grateful for Mr. Issei and all the help he's given me. Words alone cannot express how grateful I am to have met him. Asia said as she hugged me from behind even tighter. It must have been the fate of God. Asia then suddenly felt a huge headache come to her. She squealed and held her head in pain as I used my magic to help her massive headache calm down. Thank you so much, Mr. Issei. Asia thanked me as her head pain was now completely gone. She smiled at me in relief from the pain. Alright, then. Off we go to deliver some more flyers. I said as I got ready to exit through the doors. One last thing before you go, Asia. Riaz halted us from exiting. Yes. Asia asked, wondering what Riaz was about to say. This'll be the last week that you'll have to distribute flyers. Riaz revealed to Asia and me. Asia was confused about why this her last week to distribute flyers. She looked at me thinking I would know what was happening. But I was in the same boat as her. I told you that you were doing this as a part of your training. Distributing flyers is actually a familiar's job. Riaz filled me and Asia in on why we were no longer delivering flyers. So this is it for her? I asked Riaz as I let Asia down from my shoulders. Yes. But first, we need to get you a familiar, Asia. Riaz said. Would you look at that, Asia? You're about to go yourself a familiar. Whatever that is. I tried to congratulate her with my voice sounding emotionless and dull. She surprisingly gasped in happiness. Thank you so much, Mr. Issei. She ran towards me and gave me a bone-crushing hug. You're welcome, I guess. What did I even do? I wondered to myself as Asia continued to hug me. I could feel Riaz smiling at us. Time skip. Riaz put her hand out as if she was waiting for something to drop into it. Her familiar then appeared in her hand. A bat was summoned into her hand. The bat flapped her wings in place. This is my familiar. Riaz showed off her familiar to me and Asia. The bat then morphed itself into a girl. Oh. It also has a human form. That's cool. I praised the bat human as she morphed back into a bat. This is mine. Akeno introduced her familiar to us. And small troll appeared net to her. A nymph? I guessed. I turned to Kaneko for her to show off her familiar. This is Shiro. Kaneko introduced her familiar. It was a small little kitten with white fur that resembled the color of her hair. Cute, it is. I levitated Kaneko's familiar over to my hands and placed carefully into my left hand. It's so small. I commented on the size of the kitten. I levitated it Kaneko's familiar back over to Kaneko. Wanna see mine? Kiba offered. Sure. I accepted Kiba's offer to see his familiar. Kiba's familiar appeared right next to him. It was an eagle that was summoned. The eagle flew for a few seconds before landing on Kiba's shoulder. Cool. I commented on everyone's different familiars as they put them away. Familiars are a basic thing for devils. They can assist you in battles, deliver messages for you, and even find things for you. Riaz explained to Asia. How do you get a familiar? Asia asked. Well, Riaz was interrupted by a knock at the door. Come in. Akeno let whoever was knocking at the door in the room. The door was opened by two of the student council members. Everyone else walked through the doors. Yurei and Cherry were woken up by the sound of the door and joined me on my shoulders for company. Oh. It's the entire shitty council. I said. My hate for people that were higher ups really showed when it came to the student council. Hyoudou Saji scoffed when he said my name. He began to walk towards me with anger showing clear as day on his face. I also began to approach him. My height still scared him shitless. But when there was less than a meter left between us, we stared into each other's eyes. You still haven't apologized to me for what you've done to me. He tried to harshly remind me. What? What did I do to you? I asked him acting clueless with my facial expression not changing. He growled furiously as he winded up his fist getting ready to punch me. I took my leg and effortlessly kicked him in his genitals again. It was supposed to only scare him, but I kicked him a bit too hard and he ended up screaming. His screams full of pain echoed throughout the entire room. Gosh, Issei. Why do you always have to do this to him every time you two come in contact with each other? Riaz asked as she facepalmed. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just defending myself. I responded to her. Asia rushed over to him to attempt to heal him. Where does it hurt? She asked with genuine concern for him. Oh. He was nervous and embarrassed to answer. I love how Asia's trying to help him. It shows that she's a good person. But for some reason, seeing her about to heal something like his genitals just felt wrong to me. I summoned my pistol and pointed it towards Saji and Asia. Asia. I called her. She looked towards my direction and was in shock. Mr. Issei, what are you? She was too scared to move, afraid that I would shoot her. Get away from him. I demanded. She complied with my demands and started to slowly walk away from him. She was sad that he couldn't help her save from what's about to happen to him. Wait. Please, Saji begged Asia to stay, but it was no use. Saji looked towards my direction with nothing but fear showing in his facial expression. Hyoudou, he squealed as he heard me cock my pistol back. The members of the student wanted to jump in and shield him from my shots, but was stopped by Sona herself. She knew that if they went out there to try and help him, they could get themselves not only hurt, but killed as well. I sighed at what I was going to do. Usually, I don't do this to anyone. Except for these two when they really needed. I said, referring to Yurei and Cherry who were just relaxing on my shoulders. Wait. Please don't kill me. I'm sorry for provoking you. He pleaded as hard as he could. His life was on the line. You know what? I have a better way to do this. I put away my pistol. I put one of my hands out and a burst of flame came out. It looked like your average fire. Okay, then it took Saji a while, but he finally managed to stand up. His legs were shaking, but he tried to hold his balance. If you're going to kill me, then going ahead and do it. He said as he put his arms out from each other. I didn't say anything. This made Saji even more scared than he was. I aimed my hand with the flame in it toward Saji. The flame then burst out of my hand toward Saji. The flames engulfed him completely. But he was confused. He wasn't burning. He looked around to see that he was in fact getting healed. My flames were in fact healing him. Because my magic was powerful, it didn't take long for him to heal. After 2 seconds, I put away my flame. Him and everyone else in the room except for my mates on my shoulders were beyond shocked. But Sona began the sentence of confusion. Was Riaz continued the chain of confusion throughout the group. That Asia finished the sentence everyone was thinking of at the time. Oh my. That was hot. Akeno said as licked her lips seductively. Time skip. I see that you've got a new member, Riaz. Sona pointed out, obviously talking about Asia. Yes. She's a cute one too. Riaz said playfully. I'm Asia Argento. Please call me Asia. She bowed as she introduced herself. Saji ran up to her, grabbed her hand and started to give her a rough handshake. Hello. My name is Saji. Please let me know if you need anything. He talked very fast. He caught that there was a dark presence in the room. He looked around and saw me towering over him behind Asia. Saji took this as a sign to let go of her hand. I menacingly walked over to him. Never touch her again. Got it. I told Saji as he backed away from me. Riaz and Sona sighed as they watched me scare the shit out of Saji. Anyway. What are you doing here, Sona? You've got exactly 5 seconds to explain yourself before I burn you. I demanded as I summoned another flame in my hand. Issei. Stop threatening Sona. She hasn't done anything. Riaz defended her friend. And that's exactly the problem. They get people complaining to them about problems, yet they sit on their asses all day not trying to figure out a solution. A student council president who doesn't their job is one word and one word only. I summoned my pistols once again. Useless. I said. I cocked my pistols back before shooting two magic bullets of light magic towards her. The bullets hit her shoulders. Unprepared for it, she gasped for air as the bullets hit her. Light is very effective against devils, so it hurt a lot more than the average bullet. Gosh, Mr. Issei. Asia ran over to Sona to help assist her. Time skip. Sona now had bandages and her entire peerage guarding her from me. All of the girls had their guards up. So how's it been, Riaz? Sona began the conversation. Riaz told me stand behind her for safety reasons. Oh, nothing. I was thinking of going to get Asia familiar. Riaz revealed to Sona. Oh. You're going to him as well. Sona was surprised to hear that Riaz was going to the familiar master. Yes. I had some time next week in mind. Riaz spoke. But he's only available once a month. Sona pointed out. Then how about we decide it with a fair game? Riaz suggested to her. You mean like a rating game? Sona asked. Oh, of course not. We'd never get the permission for something like that. Riaz pushed away Sona's idea of a rating game away. Right. You also can't afford to hurt yourself right now, after all. Sona added. Riaz knew what Sona was talking about. That's irrelevant to this conversation, Sona. Riaz retaliated. Oh, I know. Let's settle it through sports like the high school students that we are. Riaz offered another good suggestion. Sounds good to me. Sona and Riaz agreed to settle their match on a sports game. Let me know how it goes. I gestured a thumbs up to them as I made my way over to the couch with Cherry and Yurei accompanying me. We went to the couch and immediately were hit with slumber upon our bodies made impact with the couch's soft cushions. Time skip. All three of us were asleep on the couches. I was wondering what sports that they settled on. As soon as I thought about that, Kiba and Kaneko walked in through the doors. Kaneko was holding two broken tennis rackets. Geez. What happened? I asked as I rubbed my eyes awake. There was a lot of people who came to see the tennis match. Kiba partly explained. They were using magic in the match. Kiba added. Wow. And no one noticed. People really are stupid, huh? I want to how people can't notice when something's not right. And their match just wouldn't end, Kaneko said, holding up the two broken tennis rackets. So what's going to happen now? I asked them. President and Akeno are discussing that with the student council right now. Kiba answered. I wonder what's going to happen. As long as it has nothing to do with me, I don't care. I stated as I put myself back onto the couch. Riaz and Akeno soon walked into the room. We've decided to go with dodgeball. Riaz announced. Kiba and Kaneko walked to stand by her side. Oh, cool. I brushed off their decision. This had nothing to do with me. President, how should we tell him? I heard Akeno whisper to Riaz. Or so I thought. What are you talking about? I asked Akeno. Mr. Issei. I felt a slight tug on my pants. I looked down and I saw that it was Asia. What's wrong? I asked her. We decided that we're gonna have you play for us. Asia quickly covered her face as she revealed what they were talking about. Oh. So that's it. I looked back at Akeno and Riaz who were in front of me. Why? Is all I asked. Why would they make me take their place? This was their battle and not mine. I didn't want anything to do with this at all. It was actually Sona's idea. So if you want to get mad at someone, get mad at her. Riaz told me. I sat back down on the couch. As soon as I did, I felt someone crawl onto me. I opened my eyes and to my surprise, it was Asia. Mr. Issei, I could hear the sadness in her voice. I know that if I don't comply with this, I'm mostly letting her down. I'm sure she really wants a familiar and I didn't want to be the reason that she couldn't get one. I sighed, annoyed at that I had to do this. What time is the match taking place? I asked. Asia's eyes lit up from happiness. Mr. Issei. She hugged me as tightly as she could. It's tomorrow at the gym. Riaz informed me. Well, I guess that's the then. I sighed. Time skip, it's time for the match. I walked into the gym. Upon walking in, I could see the entire student council getting ready for the match. They were stretching, throwing balls at each other, and other things you'd expect when people are practicing. I could see Ria's team on the other side of the gym. I walked over to that side. As soon as I got there, Issei and Cherry backflipped their way onto the benches that the research team was sitting on. Wow. You actually made it. Riaz was surprised to see that I was actually here. Sadly, I know that I can't let this little cute blonde down. I said as I patted Asia on her head. I heard Asia make happy Asian noises as I patted her head. Well, this is the decider, huh? I looked at the student council on the side of the gym. Before we start, I have a few rules that I forgot to mention. Sona started. Okay. I'll comply with all your little dumb rules. List them if you will. I said as my shirt broke off of me from not being able to fit me. Okay then. Number 1, you can only stand in one spot. Sona informed me of the first rule. The entire occult research gasped. What? Sona? You didn't mention these rules when we were discussing this matter. Riaz was getting infuriated. Rule number 2, you can only throw the ball once. Sona informed me of her second rule. And the third rule is that only we can use magic and you can't. Saji yelled out. Saji. Sona got him back under control. Yes, President. Saji saluted to her. Sona. What are you doing? Are you trying to make it so that he has no way of winning? Infuriated wouldn't even begin to describe how Riaz was right now. Issei. It's fine. Asia said as walked up to me. I appreciate you doing this for me but Asia's words were cut off. Is that it? I said nonchalantly like it wasn't a challenge. Saji was baffled by my statement. Here. I'll do you one better. I'll even play with my eyes closed. I stated. Asia backed off and sat on the benches that were on the side of the gym. Sure. Sona was starting to think something bad was about to happen. I began to walk around to find a place that I would be standing for the match in its entirety. I decided to go with the middle. I'll be able to sense where all the balls are coming from. The truth is, it doesn't matter how many rules they make to try and give me a disadvantage, they lost the match from the moment they got me involved. I'm about to show them what's gonna happen. The orc was setting up the balls in the middle of the gym. As promised, I stood in my desired spot and closed my eyes. Whenever you're ready. I said. Riaz blew the whistle, indicating the start of the dodgeball match. This is it. They've already lost. The student council ran towards the middle and grabbed the balls that were sitting there. Come on. This is too easy. I've already found an opening. Saji thought as he was aiming the ball at me. Saji felt very confident in the shot he was about to take. With a smile that could light up a dark cinema, he took his shot. Saji. Wait. Sona cried out to him. It was too late for him. Saji had already took the shot. His shot is full of demonic power, made to increase the speed of the ball. Saji thought that this would hit me hard and knock me over. He was so wrong. With my eyes closed, I was able to sense the direction the ball was coming from. Left. I said as I put my hand out, catching the ball filled with demonic power. Saji's expression had both surprise and anger written all over it. His eye was twitching. He looked like he wanted to scream. I could hear my mates laughing from the benches. Saji walked over to the benches in shame. This next shot was make us win the game. Okay. This game's over. I used my senses to its highest to able to pinpoint the student council's exact locations. Using not even 1% of my base strength, I threw the ball towards where Sona was. The ball was faster than she could keep up with, so it ended up hitting her. After the ball hit her, the ball began to ricochet off of the entire student council. Everybody got hit either in their face, legs or their chest. And to end the ball's ricochet madness, it hit the floor after making its grand finale by speeding its way towards Saji's face. Because Saji was sitting on one of the benches that were next to the wall, the ball made the back of his head hit the ball, resulting in excruciatingly painful concussion. Ouch, Saji said before he passed out onto the floor. The student council went over to his aid. I opened my eyes once I heard Saji faint to the ground. I walked over to the benches where the orc was sitting. We won. I said, not sounding excited about it. Everyone else started to cheer though. They were celebrating. Issei and Cherry backflipped their way onto my shoulder and kissed me on both my cheeks. Thanks for winning. Asia said as she hugged me tightly. I guess that settles it. Sona confirmed the end of the match as she walked up to us. Well, good game, I guess. Even though I gave you four advantages. And you still lost. Just imagine if people were watching, Sona. As for him, you can be the one to heal him this time. I'm Skip. We were now in the occult club room. Everybody was still congratulating me and my win. I don't think it's anything special. That was amazing, Issei. Akeno commented on my performance during the dodgeball match. Kaneko nodded her head in approval. Amazing. She added. How did you do that? Kiba asked me. The what? I just threw the ball at them. I answered him. Come on, Issei. Did you cheat? She said you couldn't use magic. Riaz mentioned as she interrogated me of whether I cheated. And I didn't need to. All I used was some of my base strength. Didn't even take much. I said as I leaned myself against the couch. Well, it doesn't matter. We can go get your familiar now, Asia. Riaz said as she opened up a magic circle. Wait, right now? I asked. They already had their plan set in stone. I guess that they knew that I would win. Of course. Kaneko answered. He's only available when there's a full moon. Riaz added. The orc went through their magic circle while we went through my own. The magic circle took us to a forest where the sky was red. What is this place? I asked. This is the familiar forest, Issei. Familiars are created here. Akeno answered me. Now we have to look for him. Riaz began to walk around. Everybody followed her. Look for who? I asked. Hey there. Everyone was surprised when they heard a voice coming from above them. We all looked up and saw someone in the trees. I'm the familiar master, Zatuji. Zatuji introduced himself. Off the bat, he sounds like a jackass. Makes want to go on a devil killing spree. Probably shouldn't say that. It's a good day to catch a familiar, isn't it? He asked as he took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. He jumped off from the tree and made a soft landing on the ground. Familiar master, huh? I wondered as I summoned my magic pistol behind my back. Everyone could see it and were getting worried. Full moons are the best days to catch a familiar. Zatuji stated. He's an expert on catching familiars. Akeno mentioned to me nervously. Yeah. Good to know. I put my pistols away. Oh. You there, big guy. It seems you have two familiars of your own. Zatuji joked pointing at me. What did you say? I walked up to him and got him in a chokehold. He started to gag and also began to beg me to let go of his neck. I'm out. I give up. Please let me go. He begged. I let go of his neck after a few seconds. I then gave him a good well-needed punch in the gut. Don't ever say something like that about them again. Next time, there'll be shots being fired at your chest. I assured him. He took a few seconds to couch and catch his breath. Is that a threat? He asked me. No. It's a promise. I said as my huge dragon wings expanded from my back. He was beyond shocked at what he was seeing. Why, Yurei Zatuji stuttered. That's right. I'm a dragon. So are these two. Yurei and Cherry's wings expanded from behind their backs. After showing them off for a few seconds, they put them away. This is Ria's Gremory and her peerage. We came to get this one here a familiar. I said as I used my mind to levitate Asia from behind me to in front of me. Wait, she screamed as she suddenly started to levitate over to us. Come on. Tell him what kind of familiar you want. I said. I want a cute and friendly familiar, please. She said in the sweet and caring voice that she had. Can you do it? I questioned Zatuji. Oh, of course. Follow me please. He said as he quickly got off of the ground. I finally put my wings away and we all began to follow him. Gosh, Issei. Why are you always so rough with everyone? Riaz asked me. Everything I do to him from now on is his own fault. He shouldn't have made that kind of comment towards these two. They're not my familiars, they're my mates. We look out for each other and we give each other the love we need. That's how our relationship works. I explained to Riaz. Love must be nice, I heard Riaz mutter under her breath. We continued to walking until I felt something wet drop onto my arm. What's this? I thought out loud to myself. I soon found out. I looked up and I saw something green falling from the ground. Slime. Kiba took out his sword, trying to defend himself. But some of the slime rain landed on his eyes, covering his view. Kiba started to try and get the slime off. Oh my, what's going on? Akeno laughed as the slime fell on top of her clothes from the sky. Some of it landed in my hand. I tried to get a good idea of what the texture felt like. I thought. I heard screaming coming from in front of me. It was Riaz. Her clothes were being eaten up by the slime. Issei. Help me, she begged with a little moan to go with her words. The slime was eating Ria's clothes all the way to her underwear. The slime was doing the same for Kaneko, Asia and Akeno. This feels gross, Kaneko said with a red face. After a while, Riaz finally took back control of herself and began to burn away the slime. Akeno began to do the same. I heard Asia still screaming. Asia still had a bit of slime on top of her. With a snap of my fingers, all the slime disappeared off of her. Thanks. Asia thanked me. What's that? I pointed at a tiny dragon that was residing on top of one of the tree's branches. Sprite dragon. Zetsuji introduced it to me. It was a tiny blue dragon that with a cute expression. If you want to get it, you better get it now. They're impossible to get when they become adults. Zetsuji explained. The sprite dragon then flew towards me and then struck me with lightning. The lightning attack was weak from it, so it did nothing to me. The sprite dragon flew onto Asia's shoulder. It's so cute. Asia praised it. While Asia was focused on the dragon, Riaz and everyone else were focused on me. Issei? Riaz looked kind of worried. You okay, Issei? Akeno asked. Asia. Can you step away from the dragon for a moment? I asked politely as dark gray clouds started to form in the sky above us. I think he's mad. Kaneko guessed. The sprite dragon flew towards me trying to attack me. Using nothing but my mind, I struck millions of lightning bolts onto the sprite dragon. Because it couldn't defend itself, it accepted its fate and got struck millions of times. Once it was over, the once blue sprite dragon was now void black. It soon fell to the ground, dead. No. Asia ran towards the little fallen dragon. Wow. That's some power. Zetsuji was surprised. Here, if you really want it as your familiar, I'll do you a favor here. I snapped my fingers. And like nothing happened, the sprite dragon was brought back to life. What the fuck was that? Zetsuji yelled. I know right. Riaz wasn't shocked at all. In fact, they've known me well enough to expect this of me. Well, looks like you got yourself a familiar. Zetsuji confirmed. In the name of Asia Argento, I order you to form a contract as my familiar. Once the magic casting calmed down, the sprite dragon flew into her arms. Alright, we're done. Well done, Asia. Akeno congratulated her. The sprite dragon was squirming in Asia's embrace. That tickles, Rasei. Asia called it. What? I asked. Well, it shoots lightning, and I took a part of your name. Asia explained to me. Well, I guess that's cool. I said. I also forgot to mention, but male dragons hate males of other species. Zetsuji informed us. I'm a dragon too. So why did it attack me? I wondered. Maybe it thought that you were attacking Asia. Riaz guessed. Rasei. I got its attention. Strike me with lightning again, and I will kill you. I promised him. Terrified, he tried to hide in Asia's arms. Mr. Issei, stop scaring him. Asia demanded. Fine. Can we go now? I asked. I'm Skip. It said that sprite dragons only open up to those with a pure heart. It normally doesn't follow devils. Riaz explained. I guess you're one of a kind, Asia. I levitated Asia in the air. And remember what I said, Rasei. Me and Rasei had a staring competition for a few seconds. It was the end of the day so everyone headed home. I went home with Asia and my mates. We all got home in one piece and now Asia now had a familiar. We all did our same routine. I cooked for everyone this time. After that, we all got ready for bed. Issei, I want to sleep with you three again. Please. She requested. I don't know why, but I just can't say no to you. Get in here. I sighed. Asia smiled and jumped into the sheets. It was the usual situation. People dream of being in this scenario. I have 3 beautiful girls in my bed. Good night, everyone. I wished everyone a good night. Good night, Mr. Issei. Asia snuggled up against my bare chest as she went to sleep. So comfy, Asia muttered as she went to sleep. I fell asleep watching Asia snuggle herself against me. Chapter 14. Boxing tournament with Kiba. My incomplete KFC order, Riser. Issei's POV. It's just another day at school. The perverted duo haven't been up to anything suspicious, which is a good. Throughout the entire day, I had Cherry, Yurei and Asia by my side. And as usual, people really don't know when to shut their fucking mouths. I wouldn't call myself attractive. I just do what I like to do. Which is nothing. I got comments throughout the day from people saying dumb stuff like, he's already got the blonde. A kendo club girl exclaimed. What? How'd he get Asia? The perverted duo yelled in unison. It was all around a surprise for almost everyone at the school. It makes just want to kill everyone that comes into contact with me. Man. Why? I asked myself. It gets really tiring having people make such a big deal about everything that happens to me. It gets annoying and I just want it to stop. School went on like normal. We had our classes, did the work and got ourselves through them. While I was in class focusing on the teacher's presentation, I looked in the perverted duo's direction. They both had perverted smirks on their faces. I felt like they had a certain plan up their asses. They caught me looking in their direction. They put their smirks away and went back to focusing on the teacher. After class ended, I let Asia, Yurei and Cherry go home. I was curious as to what they were up to. So I decided to seal up my presence and follow them. They were going towards the girls' change room. They went inside of one of the lockers in the room. I then saw the kendo club and some other girls walk into the room. One of those girls being Kaneko. She must have PE right now. As soon as all the girls were inside the room, I stopped hiding and walked up to the door. I didn't knock on the door or wait for somebody to let me in. I just opened the door and let myself in. Everyone upon seeing me froze in their place. I looked around at the lockers to try and find which locker they were hidden inside of. Their location was very easy to pinpoint. Everybody stared at me as I walked towards the locker with the perverted duo inside. Issei. This is the girls' change room. Kaneko thought she needed to remind me what room I was inside of. I know. I'm in the right place. I said as I continued my march towards the locker. Even though the locker was sealed with a lock, I was able to tear it open with my bare hands. Inside were two perverts being squished by the enclosed space of the locker. It wasn't meant to fit even one person inside it. Well. Look what I found. I said while keeping my expressionless face and lower tone voice. Issei Hyoudou gasped. How did you find us? Mitsuda asked, frightened by what they thought what was going to happen next. I followed you just to see what you two were up to. I thought I told you to stop doing these kinds of things. I grabbed them by their shirts and forcefully grabbed them out of the locker. Oh, wait outside. And if you even think about trying to run, I'll hunt you both down and kill you. I made them pee in their pants with my words alone. They nodded their heads very fast. As soon as I put them down, they went running into the hallway. I was about to apologize to everyone in the room for trespassing into the girls' change room. Sorry for intruding on you guys. I let myself out now. As I began to walk, I felt someone rush me. I did a full 180 turn and saw Kaneko dashing herself towards me. She jumped at me and I guess she was trying to pin me down to the ground. Obviously, it didn't work. What are you doing? I asked Kaneko. You walked in on us changing. Kaneko said. Well, yeah. But I had to get those two out. Or would you rather I left them here to peep on all of you? I asked them. All of them nodded their heads no. Meaning that what I did was a good thing for them. Kaneko didn't know what to do now. She let go of my neck and then apologized. I'm sorry. Kaneko bowed to me as she apologized. When she got back up, I put my hand on her head. I gave her head little pats to assure her that she didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry, Kaneko. You didn't do anything wrong. You did what anyone would have done in your situation. So don't worry. Now, if you'll excuse me. I have two people that I need to deal with. I excused myself from the room. Kaneko was left inside of the room with a blush on her face. The kendo club took notice of her face and began to tease her. Oh. So you like him, don't you? Murayama grinned as she teased her. Maybe. She said. I could hear all the girls inside of the room squeal. But that was their business and not mine. So here's what I'm going to do. I began. They started to hold each other in preparation for what was going to happen. You two actually held up for longer than I thought. So here. I handed them a paper with another address on it. Let's just say you both are going to lose your virginity, and with that I walked away. They were both excited and terrified at the same time. With that, I decided to head home. When I got to my room, I found that Yurei and Cherry were both sleeping in the bed. It looked like they left enough space for me in between them when I got back. Now I'm just bored. I decided to just think of the dumbest inventions that I could create. What about a toilet that cleans the person's butt once they're done their business? I thought to myself. I snapped my fingers and then a hologram played of what that would look like. A man finished his business and then the toilet used its built-in utensils to clean him. Once the toilet finished, it flushed itself without any issue. That's where the hologram ended. I was satisfied with what I saw, so I brought it to life. There was now a self-cleaning toilet in front of me. With the snap of my fingers, all the toilets in the house were now self-cleaning ones. I then thought of a washing, drying and folding machine. A machine that can do all three, wash, dry and fold clothes. A hologram began to play of that. The machine washed the clothes that were inside of it within about 30 minutes. It then switched to drying mode. The machine would then heat the clothes, getting rid of any wetness that remained after the wash. There was then a new platform that extended from the machine. Two robotic arms then began to take out the clothes from the machine and fold them. The hologram ended once the robotic arms gave a thumbs up. They folded all of the clothes. That's a cool one. Could probably make millions off of this. I thought out loud to myself. I brought the machine to life. I then took a video of the machine in use and posted it to my account on Super Media. It was a very useful device to have. I put it in the kitchen and kept it there. What's next? I thought. Maybe a new weapon that I can hold with one hand like my pistol. I thought. It took a few minutes, but I finally did it. I now have a sniper as one of my many kinds of firearms. I probably should have done that for my battle with Denzel, but it doesn't matter. What matters is I have it now. I really like how I made it feel. Not too heavy and not too light. For me at least. I thought to myself. I felt like that was enough of trying to make stupid shit. I decided to go say hi to the occult club. Hey. I greeted as I walked through the door. Oh. Hi Issei. Akeno greeted me as she held a plate with a teacup on it. I levitated the cup of tea over to me. Thank you for the tea. I drank all the tea in less than 2 seconds. Oh my, you're fast at slurping, aren't you? Akeno laughed. Some would say that, I sighed. That tea was made for me, Issei. Riaz was mad. I can give it back to you if you want. I said. Riaz was starting to feel weirded out by this. What do you mean? She asked nervously. You know, I began to take big steps towards her. Hey. Stop. Get away. She began to take steps until she was backed into a wall. I got up close to her ear. Just kidding. I whispered into her ear. I then backed off and walked over to the door. While doing so, I snapped my fingers and summoned a cup of tea in her hand. You're welcome. I said as I walked to the door. Also, remember. If you need anything, you can come and tell me. Whether it's a problem you have or you need me to kill someone, you can tell me about it. I assured her. I then left and the door closed behind me. Being what he is now, he's a surprisingly good guy, Riaz. Akeno said to her. Yeah. But I don't want to have to rely on him. My problems are my own to deal with, Riaz declared. Akeno thought it was a good idea to switch the topic of discussion. He's been really helpful to us, hasn't he? He helped Asia get her familiar by winning that dodgeball match. Akeno said. Yeah. He's a good person. Only he sometimes get a little overprotective. Riaz pointed out. He wants them to be safe. Akeno added. You're right. It's normal to want your significant other to always be safe, isn't it? I wonder if he would protect us the way he always protects those three. Riaz monologued while looking out the window. Who knows? He does have a great hatred for fallen angels. I wonder why he didn't kill me. Akeno wondered. Well, he did say you make good tea. Riaz reminded her. Oh my, you're right. He did say that. Akeno laughed as she remembered. Riaz and Akeno laughed as they talked about past events. However, all that laughter soon came to an end when a huge magic circle in the middle of the room appeared. A woman in a maid outfit had appeared from the magic circle. Riaz and Akeno's laughter had been halted and Riaz's facial expression had changed to a serious facial expression. Time skip. It was time to go do some late night gym training. While I love having the people I love around me, I can always use a break. I decided to take a shortcut to the gym tonight. I wanted to get there as soon as possible. Because while the gym was always open now, I also wanted to try and head to sleep early. I had made it to the gym. On the front door, there was a poster that said there was an open boxing tournament. This meant that anyone could join it. Open boxing tournament? What's this about? I wondered. I walked into through the front door and saw that there has been decorations set up in preparation for the tournament. I decided to read the poster a bit more. Hosted by It's the rich guy. Winner gets $300,000. That's a lot of money, isn't it? I guess the owner loves to give away money, it seems. I thought. I need a partner. Who should I have as a partner? I wondered. As I went more into the building. There were people helping each other get their boxing gear ready. When I walked in, as usual, I got stared at. I decided to look around. There were people practicing techniques, getting their stamina up and going, and other things you'd expect when preparing for a tournament. While I was walking around, I came across someone I didn't quite expect to see. Tiba. I called out to him. He looked in my direction. Oh. Hey Issei. He waved at me. I walked towards him to greet him. When we got within meters of each other, we fist bumped. So what are you doing here? I asked. I wanted to try and compete in the tournament. But sadly my partner bailed on me. Kiba explained. Sorry. Who was your partner? I asked out of curiosity. It was Mitsuda. He said that he wanted to try and fight so he could have a chance at maybe kicking your ass in quotes. Kiba added to his explanation. Oh. Sorry, I think that's my fault, bro. But don't worry, I think he's getting what he deserves. I said. So what are you doing here, Issei? You going to compete too? Kiba asked. Maybe. The prize pool is very big. So why not? For now, I'm just taking a look at the competition. I told Kiba. Well, wanna be my partner? Kiba asked. What? I said back. Oh, never mind. Kiba smiled and tried to move on from his question. I mean, if you want to, I offered. Alright. Let's win, Issei. Kiba put his fist out. I accepted his fist bump. Come on, let's go sign up. I said. Kiba led me to the table where you can sign up. I read some of the rules and the agreement that you had to sign in order to be in the match. This will be aired on live television. Kiba, you okay with that? I asked him. Sure. He answered me. We both then signed our names and then there was a team name section on the paper. Oh. We need a team name. How about Tank and Knight? Kiba suggested. Sure. Sounds cool. I like the name. It referenced me being the big frontline kind of guy and Kiba having good speed and being a knight in Ria's Gremory's peerage. Well, the tournament starts in an hour. You wanna train? I asked him. Sure, bro. Kiba answered. One thing that I noticed that would be seen when the tournament started was that people were allowed to place bids on a team that they think will win. This would come back to bite me later. For now, me and Kiba headed to the training areas. We began to test out each other's skills and try to find each other's weaknesses. I, fortunately, didn't have any. But there were many flaws that I could see with Kiba's fighting style. The only strategy he seemed to know was to rush from the start. This was a good tactic, but it would only work for so long. Instead, I took Kiba to look for where his opponent is open and to wait for when he or she makes certain movements. Speed was one of Kiba's traits. So it made sense that he'd want to use it as much as possible. I spent most of the time teaching him how to block punches and how to do some other moves that most people when boxing wouldn't expect. Okay. I feel like I've taught you enough, haven't I? I asked. Yeah. You're very good at doing this it seems. He wondered. Really? I don't know. I'm just telling you your weak points. I told him. Yeah. That's what experts do, bro. Kiba said with a chuckle in between some of his words. Whatever happens, I just came to do some late night workouts. To me, this'll just be a part of it. I stated. Time skip. We were now beyond the boxing ring. Kiba and I were getting our boxing gloves and our helmets on. You ready? Kiba asked me. Of course. Let's win some tournament. I said trying to be energetic. Kiba laughed at my attempt. It was a huge crowd waiting for all of the competitors. There was cheering for each competitor that made themselves known. We were all eventually around the ring waiting for an announcement. Hello. And welcome to the first ever open boxing match. The host announced. The crowd was going absolutely wild for this one. It was like 10 p.m. at night. The host explained the rules to all of the competitors. There were going to be announcements for who was in each match. If one teammate lost, the entire team would be kicked out, so we had to make sure that we won all of our matches. For the first match, we have Knight versus Drive. Please step into the boxing ring. He announced. Kiba walked into the ring. And his opponent was a fat dude who looked like he did nothing but sit on his computer all day. This first one was going to be easy for Kiba. The bell rung, signaling the start of the match. Start. The host yelled. Kiba and the fat guy started to circle around each other. Come on, please just quit. My wife says she'll leave me if I don't win. The fat guy tried to guilt trip his way into winning. Kiba found a weak spot and went for it. Moving so fast, he punched the fat guy straight in his gut. With that, he fell to the ground, defeated. The crowd started to cheer for Kiba's win. Kiba put his hands in the air to show his victory. Kiba walked off of the ring and gave me a fist bump. Congratulations. I congratulated him on the win. Thanks. He tried to guilt trip me. Kiba said to me. Wow. How pathetic. He just lost it for his team. I added. I know right. He shouldn't have even entered. Kiba added. Agreed. I said. For our next match, we have Tank versus Sacred. Please step into the ring. The host announced. It was my turn to step into the ring. The crowd started to cheer for me the moment I walked into the ring. Sacred, huh? I looked up and down at him. He looked to be your average 15-year-old teen. Nothing really special. He, however, was terrified of my structure. He was already shaking, and the match had not even started yet. He was looking up and down at me, seeing that I was mostly showing muscle, since that's all my body really has to show. Start. The host announced. I stood in one place for the entire match. The teen started to tremble, as he had no clue what was coming to him. I'll let you get your hits in. I offered. He nodded. He battle-cried as he ran towards me, landing a hit in my gut. The punch did absolutely nothing to me. I was still standing like absolutely nothing happened. Noticing this, he tried to reach for my face. But the closest he could get was to my chest. You done? I asked him. He nodded his head in defeat and accepted his fate. I readied my fist and gave him a punch that he would never forget for as long as he lived. I sent him straight out of the ring. He ended up crashing into the wall. Winner. The host announced. The crowd started to cheer for my victory. I took it as one of many more to come and nothing else. Wow. That was amazing. You just made him give up. Kiba says as he fist bumps me. Yeah. To be honest, we're going to win no matter what. I declared to him. This is when some drama would start. There were over 400 teams of 2 that came to compete. It made sense that this was going to take a long time. The winners like me and Kiba got to sit back and watch the other matches take place. After the first rounds there were now only 200 teams left. From here on out it was going to be duos. We eventually got into our first duo match. It was me and Kiba going up against this couple. And to be honest, they looked like they had held a grudge against me. I could recognize them as some of the many people that rioted at my door on that day. Start. The host announced once again. Kiba got into one of the boxing positions I taught him while I just stood still. You take on the big guy, I got the speedy one. The husband said. His wife nodded and we went to our separate sides of the ring. It's just me and you, big guy. The wife stretched a little before she went in to attack me. I didn't say a word to her. Come on. Ah. She battled cried as she ran at me with her fists ready to box. Come on, knight. The husband mocked his name. Trash talk was a major part of sports. Kiba didn't say anything back. Kiba mashed his fists together, waiting for him to attack first. The husband rushed him. He decided to aim for his gut. Kiba saw this coming from miles away and used his gloves to block his attack. Not bad, but not good enough. Kiba pushed him away with his gloves. The husband wiped some sweat off of his forehead and went back in for round 2. It was Kiba's turn to attack. He instantly went for his face. The husband tried to block but was too late. He received a face full of boxing glove. The husband's nose began to bleed. Kiba wasn't finished yet. After the husband lost his balance, Kiba went in for two punches to his gut. Stunned by this, the husband gagged and let out some spit from his mouth. He then fell to the ground, defeated. Yo. You need help. Kiba offered. He looked towards my direction where my battle was happening. The wife was sweating like crazy. She couldn't even put a single dent in me and only ended up make herself tired. She then fainted from exhaustion. She dropped from my shoulders and landed on her stomach. That's not. Kiba laughed sheepishly. Well, I guess you don't need help either. I said. The crowd was cheering for us. I watched as people threw their hands in the air and screamed our team name as loud as they could. Winner. The host announced. This made the crowd cheer even louder. While the crowd was cheering. Where there's a sport, there's always gonna be drama. Some people who were watching the match had a problem with the way that match went. Specifically, what my side of the match looked like. I basically just stood there not doing anything. My opponent tired herself out. That's what people had a problem with. The people who bid on those people are basically just fated to lose the money they bet on. Me and Kiba were inside our locker room taking a break from the match. Here. Some water. I threw him a water bottle and he caught it with ease. Thanks, bro. Kiba thanked me as he opened up his bottle and took a sip of the ice-cold water. These matches are gonna get harder. Our opponents are going to only get stronger. I told him as I took a sip of water myself. You're right. He agreed with me. There are a lot of people that are betting on us to win. I told Kiba. That's honestly surprising to know. I didn't know so many people like to bet on sports. Kiba said as he wiped his face full of sweat with a towel. I know. The people that bet for our opponents are basically just bound to lose money. I said as I put away my water bottle. I decided to take a look at the other matches. People were cheering a lot less for those guys than when me and Kiba are out there. Me and Kiba are dominating this competition. It was time for our other matches. Now there were only about 40 teams left. As me and Kiba were about to walk into the ring, we were stopped by an announcement that was being broadcasted to live television and the entire crowd. We are sorry for the interruption. Due to extreme demand, we have had to lower the limit of which Team Tank and Knight can fight. We have had some people in the audience complain about your fighting style. The host told me in the audience. I understand. I said. Oh, shit. They had to give you a debuff, Issei. How would you fight? Kiba was worried. Don't worry. We'll still win this thing. I assured Kiba. Okay. Kiba got his confidence back and walked into the ring. The crowd started to cheer even harder for us. See, Kiba. Look how much they want us to win. I made Kiba turn towards the crowd and the cameras. You know what? You're right. It doesn't matter what debuff they give you, we're still gonna win. Kiba said as he walked into the ring. I followed him into the ring. So what are my debuffs? I asked. Well, the host rang the bell, starting the match. Our opponents rushed me and began to punch me in the gut multiple times. I was about to start to fighting back, but the host began to speak. You must let the opponents attack you for 30 seconds at the start of every match from now on. The host mentioned. I stopped trying to fight back and let the opponents try to attack me. Their punches and attacks were so weak. So it didn't hurt me whatsoever. That's not fair. One person in the crowd yelled. Yeah, it is. Did you see how they won their last match? Tank didn't even have to move his arms. He deserves this debuff. He made me lose $300 on my bet. Another person in the crowd yelled. What? You wanna fight, motherfucker? The entire audience began to fight and scream amongst each other. Kiba knew he had to do something in order to stop the arguing. Wait. Everyone. Stop. Look. The entire crowd looked towards what was going on in the center of the ring. The opponents were still attacking me, but I was still standing strong. How much is he getting hurt? Kiba asked the crowd. None. The crowd yelled back to him. So what's going to happen? Kiba tried to hype up the crowd and get them to stop fighting. Tank and Knight are gonna win. The crowd yelled. I said what's going to happen, Kiba asked again. Tank and Knight. Tank and Knight. Tank and Knight. Tank and Knight. The crowd's yelling was heard by the cameras and anybody that tried to hate was drowned out by the loud cheering. Kiba, why? I hate it when there's so much noise. I said. Sorry Issei. We can't have that many people start to fight. Kiba was right. Who knows what could have happened if a fight broke out from here. I guess you're right. I agreed with Kiba. I then heard another bell go off and saw another timer start. What's that? I pointed towards the timer. Kiba caught notice of it and soon the whole crowd noticed it too. Your next debuff is that you only have 15 seconds to defeat your opponents. If you don't defeat your opponents in this time, you lose. The host added. The crowd started to go absolutely mad. These debuffs were completely unfair to the average boxer. But here's the thing. I'm different. I punched one of the opponents in his face and he backed off of me. I then began to absolutely combo the other opponent in his head. Once I was finished with him, I punched him and sent him flying towards Kiba. Kiba had his fist out ready to smack him into the ground. When the opponent was within a meter to Kiba, he put his fist out and smacked him into the ground. Kiba then proceeded to give him a beatdown. As for me, I ran towards my other opponent. Because he was too late to notice, I gave him an uppercut to his chin and sent him flying about 30 feet in the air. When he eventually crashing back into the ground, I then went diving into him using my elbow. My elbow crashed into his back. Because he didn't expect it, he gagged out lots of spit and got knocked out. Winner. The host announced. It felt like the cheering got louder each time. Me and Kiba went back to our lockers to relax for a bit. What are those debuffs? Kiba asked infuriated. I don't know, man. All I know is that I have an idea to prevent you from getting beat down at the beginning. I said. I'm Skip. I still can't believe we've made it this far. And your idea actually worked. Kiba said. I decided that it was a good idea to carry Kiba on my shoulders for the first 30 seconds of the match. I had a feeling that the opponents would develop a strategy where they at the start of the match, they went for Kiba first. And right is what I was. Our strategy had carried us all the way to where we were now. The finals. Our opponents did get more durable each fight. But the challenge stayed the same. Right now, everyone had their bids on us. It was up to us to finally win the entire competition. And for our final match of tonight, we have Tank and Knight versus Dane and Dell. The host announced. The crowd, of course, cheered louder than ever. I walked onto the stage with Kiba on my shoulders. Our opponents were people who looked to be at least 6 feet 9 or 7 feet. These were definitely people we wouldn't want to lose to. Start. The final match started. The opponents tried to go for Kiba. But I held up out of their reach. So after 15 seconds of doing that, they gave up and started attacking me instead. But of course, their attacks did nothing. It was now our turn to attack. Kiba jumped out of my hands. I then gave both of the opponents a punch to their heads and then slammed them both into the ground. Me and Kiba then proceeded to beat them down until they were knocked out. With 3 seconds remaining, they were knocked out cold. Winner. The host announced for the final time of the night. The crowd cheered at their loudest. Kiba put his hands up in the air to celebrate while I just watched everyone scream and cheer. Come on, Issei. Be happy. We won. Kiba said. I can't. I'm stuck with this expression and the way my voice sounds. I can't change that unfortunately. I said as I looked at him with my uninterested eyes. We went to collect our prizes. Which was a briefcase full of $300,000 for each of us. That was intense to say the least. Kiba seemed to have a good time and I had a decent time, I guess. Well, that was fun, Issei. Kiba and I fist bumped for our final time of the night. Yeah, I guess. I wonder how many people actually watched it. I hope not many. I said. Yeah. Hope we can do this again some other time, Kiba laughed. Sure. I said. Kiba and I then went our separate ways. I put the briefcase in a safekeeping dimension for later and I decided to use magic to get home this time. I was now inside my room. I looked towards the bed and saw that Ray and Cherry were missing from it. They must have gotten up. I assumed. I decided it was time for me to take a nice long bath. After all, that tournament took very long to finish. I also accumulated a lot of sweat. I took off all of my clothes and grabbed my towel and headed towards the bathroom. I opened the door and saw there was a blonde already in the bath. Asia looked at me and then blushed. Oh. Mr. Issei. You're already back. Asia smiled as she continued to wash herself. Yeah. I answered. You must have gotten dirty from that boxing tournament Asia mentioned. Oh yeah. You watched it? I questioned her. Why yeah. She answered me. See, can I wash you? She asked. Sure. I didn't stutter to answer. I got in the bath with her. She took the loofah, put soap on it, and started to rub it on my back. "You did really good," she said, talking about the tournament. "Thanks." I took her compliment. She continued to move the loofah up and down my back. "Alright, tea time for the front," she said with a blush on her face. I responded to her by flipping my position to me facing her. She was trying not to look. I could feel her trying not to look. "It's so big," I heard her mutter. "Is it?" I asked her. "Why, you heard me?" She struggled, trying to find a way out of this. "Relax. It's no big deal." I acted calm about this. "Sorry, I've just never seen one before," she revealed to me. "I get that this is embarrassing for you. So let's just switch the subject." "Sound good?" I suggested. Yes. Asia went back to rubbing the loofah on me, cleaning me. She eventually got down to my penis. "I'll do that myself," I said to her. "No, please let me do it," Asia pleaded. Sure." I sighed. I sat there watching Asia blush from excitement and embarrassment. "Are all of them this big?" she wondered. She started to get confused when she saw that it was starting to grow. "Huh? It's growing," she said. "I think I should do that myself," I said as I turned myself back around. "But thanks for cleaning me." I thanked her. "Oh. No problem," she said as she grabbed her towel and we got out of the bath. We decided to try to move on from that awkward bathing experience. Asia went to sleep and I stayed up in my bed. Man. What the hell was that tournament? I wondered. Whatever. I got something out of it. I brushed it off. All of a sudden, a magic circle opened in my room. This obviously caught my attention. I had a magic barrier up that prevents people I don't know in unless I know them. The huge red light from the magic circle soon faded, revealing that it was Ria's. "Issei." She sounded serious. Why do you sound so serious? Something wrong?" I asked as I closed my eyes. This was when Ria's climbed on top of me. I wondered what she was doing. "I need you to take my virginity," Ria said. She then began to strip her clothes off until she only had bra and underwear on. She then started to rub herself on my crotch. "What? That's a nice joke, Ria's. Now, please get off me," I asked nicely. "It's not a joke, Issei," Ria said as she continued to rub herself on me, trying to arouse me. "Ria's, what's gotten into you? Have all those times I've teased you really made you like this?" I asked her. "Please, Issei. Before it's too late," she said. What was she talking about? Before what's too late? I guess there's only one way to do this. I sighed and got up from my relaxing posture. "Are you sure you want to do this?" I asked her. She nodded her head yes. I took off her bra and started to massage her breasts using my whole hands. I started to hear light moans coming from her. "I've been wanting to do this to you for a while," I whispered into her ear. I started to lightly pinch her nipples. "No, please, not there," she begged. As I was about to start sucking on her breasts, someone opened the door to the room. "Issei, we've got an intruder." Cherry's face froze up when she caught sight of what I was doing to Ria's. Sorry for interrupting, Issei. But we have an intruder," Cherry said, ignoring what me and Ria's were about to engage in. "An intruder? Just wait right here, Ria's. I promise I'll be back." I followed Cherry, leaving Ria's in the room. It was there where I saw a woman in a maid outfit tied up on the couch. I walked up to her. She was trying to get in the house using a magic circle. "She's a devil," Cherry explained. Good work, you two," I said as I gave them both pats on the head. They both giggled when I did and stopped when I turned my attention to the woman in the maid outfit. "Now. Who are you? And what are you doing in my house?" I asked her with my deep-toned scary voice. I could see fear on her face as she gulped. "Well, if you're not going to talk," I summoned a whip of light magic. "This is going to be a very long night," I threatened her as I cracked the whip against the couch she was tied up against. Time skip. It's been about 30 minutes. Ria's was worried about what was taking me so long to come back to the room. She stepped out of the bed and slowly made her way to the door. She slowly made her way downstairs. The more steps she took down the stairs, the more clear the sounds were getting. The whip cracking against skin was heard the more closer she got to the living room. "Why are you here?" I said before I cracked the whip against her skin again. Ria's finally made it into the living and was shocked by what she saw. "Come on. Talk, you stupid devil." I put my whip away and I was about to start using my hands. I cocked my hand back ready to give her a slap in her face. As I was about to, I felt a force stop me. "No. Stop." Ria's put herself in front of the woman to stop me from doing any more harm to her. "Ria's, what are you doing here?" I asked her. "That's my line. What do you think you're doing?" She yelled at me. "I was teaching this intruder a lesson," I revealed. "Why? Why do you have to be so rough with people?" "Look at her." Ria's pointed at her. She had blood leaking out of her everywhere. It wasn't just blood that came out of her. She had even stained the place with some pee that leaked out of her at some point. "I don't regret anything." I stood my ground. Riaz rushed over to the woman to see if she was okay. Time skip. Issei and Cherry were now both sound asleep in the bed. I had to heal the woman that I beat really badly because Riaz begged me to. So I did. This is who you have chosen, Riaz. The woman said. Riaz stood up off the bed to stand up for herself. My purity is mine and mine only. I'm allowed to share it with whom I please. Riaz said. What the heck is happening? I asked myself. Master and Lord Surziches will be very disappointed. The woman said. We can talk at my place. Do you mind if Akeno joins us? Riaz suggested. You mean the Priestess of Thunder? I don't mind. She answered. How are you? I truly do apologize for trying to intrude in your home. I am Graphia, a servant of the Gremory household. Graphia bowed as she introduced herself to me. No. I do have a tendency to take things a little far. So I do apologize for that. I'm Issei Hyoudou, the Red Dragon Emperor of the sad generation. I introduced myself to her. Graphia was shocked. Her eyes clearly showed it. Riaz walked up to me and kissed me on my cheek. It was a kiss that I did not expect. I'm sorry for getting you involved, Issei. Riaz apologized with a smile. Don't worry about it. I'll always forgive you. I said using the soothing part of my voice. Also, if you going to leave, I snapped my fingers and her school outfit was back on. At least have the decency to wear some clothes. I said. Thanks. Riaz chuckled. Graphia opened up a magic circle. Riaz went with Graphia through the magic portal and that was it. I decided that I would see what was happening to her. She seemed to be sad about something. She barged in the room and then asked me to take her virginity. While I was about to do so, a woman named Graphia showed up. I guess she was trying to stop her, but she needed to get past me first. I was a bit harsh on her. But she could have been anyone. I thought to myself. This was the last thing I thought before I went drifted off to sleep. Time skip. We were now walking to the school once again. I carried Issei and Cherry on my shoulders and Asia on my head. I don't know why, but having Asia sit on my head felt kind of good. Issei. I heard someone yell at me. I turned around to see Mitsuda and Motohama running with their hands covering their butts. What kind of address did you give us? Motohama yelled at me. So did you lose your virginity? I asked nonchalantly. Do you really hate us that much? Mitsuda asked. Yes, I do. And what happened anyway? I asked them. It turns out that Miltan held up his part of our deal. He didn't exactly scar them. All he did was make them do weird things like shove 16-inch dildos up their asses. Not to mention he also made them blowjob each other for his own amusement, brought his friends over, and then started to throw food objects at them. That's really it. I could have made them go through more extreme punishment. But you at least enjoy it. I taunted them. This pissed them off. Mitsuda tried to attack me, but I kicked him hard in his testicles. That's for abandoning Kiba. That's also for me catching you peeping on girls again. That was the last thing I said to them. We went to the orc room. I let Asia down and me and my mates decided to take a little rest on the couch. All three of us instantly fell asleep. Riaz and her entire peerage walked into the room. Kaneko ran towards my lap and took a seat on it. Graphia soon appeared in the room via her magic circle. She was surprised to see that I was in the room. But she was soon relieved to see that I was asleep. Milady, should I wake him up? Graphia asked Riaz as Riaz headed towards her table. No. That's a very bad idea. Riaz knew the dangers of waking me up and made Graphia aware of those dangers. Looks like we're all here. Riaz said. She stood up from her chair. Don't you think Issei should need to hear this? Akeno asked. No. He doesn't need. Riaz was interrupted by a huge magic circle. Flames came out of the magic circle. A blond man walked out of the portal. Hello, my dear, Riaz. Rizer has came to claim his love for you. Rizer spoke in third person. Rizer and Riaz sat on the other couch paying me no mind. Rizer grabbed some of Riaz's hair and began to play with it. He also started to massage Riaz's thighs. At this point, Riaz had enough of Rizer's actions. That's enough. I already told you, I'm not going to marry you. Riaz tried to make clear to him. But, Riaz. You know your family's position right now. There's no need for you to be so selfish. Rizer mentioned. I am not going to bring down my family. Riaz asserted herself. Pure blood devils are hard to come by now. Our fathers set up this marriage for the common good. Rizer said. I've said it once and I won't say it again. I'm not going to marry you. Riaz asserted herself once again. Rizer didn't know how to take a clue. Rizer put his hand on her chin, making her face look the direction where his face was. You know, Riaz. I am the face of the Phoenix family. I'm going to take you back to the underworld. Even if it means burning all of your servants to the ground. Riaz backed off of him and ran to Graphia. For starters, I'll start with these three. A flame appeared in Rizer's eye and he summoned fire. There was now fire in his hand. He aimed it towards the couch that me and my mate sleeping on. Kaneko backflipped off of me to avoid getting burnt. Grafia wanted to stop Riser, but was stopped by Riaz. Please just watch. Riaz said. Riaz and everybody already knew what was about to happen. Everybody knows how much I like to sleep. In fact, everybody was smiling in anticipation for what was about to happen. A huge flame came towards the couch. The flame engulfed us and the entire couch. After a few seconds, the fire calmed down. It revealed that his flames were weak and couldn't do a single bit of damage to me. What? Impossible. Riser was shocked that I didn't get burnt. I then opened my eyes. I could see that Riser was right in front of me. I stood up off of the couch. Riser was now very scared. He had fucked up in the worst way he could have possibly fucked up in. So this is how you wish to die? I said as I cracked my fist ready for a fight. He was already being overwhelmed by my height. It wasn't until I started to exert my aura that he felt weak. What is this power? He asked while choking on the very air he was breathing. Hey, have you ever felt a dragon's wrath before? I asked him. I started to make my huge dragon wings expand out of my back. Now he was truly terrified, but he tried to stand his ground. There's no way. One punch was all it took to send him flying through the roof. He came crashing down into the room. Everyone had smiles on their faces. They knew the dangers of waking me up, let alone trying to harm the people close to me. His immortality started to show when his wounds started to slowly heal. Oh. So you can regenerate. That's a cool ability. But sadly, it's not going to protect you from what I'm going to do to you. I said as I began to make a menacing walk towards him. That's enough. I have to stop him now. Grafia was about to go running, but was stopped by Akeno. It's better to just sit and watch. When he's like this, if you try to get in his way, he'll just hurt you. Maybe even worse than what he's gonna do to Riser right now. Akeno said with a smile. I'm gonna teach you how weak you truly are. I said or I grabbed him by his face. I then threw him to the wall. The broke on impact and we took our fight to the outside. He summoned more fire. Those are your flames? That's laughable. I said. I blew my breath like I was blowing a candle. The fire in his hand was put out. What? He tried to summon more fire. But it was useless. I had completely disabled his ability to use his fire. Let me show what actual flames are. I said as I put my hand out. I was able to summon fire too. But I had no limit. I made the fire much larger with every step I took. No. Please. I practically had him on his knees. For starters, we're gonna get rid of that ugly face you have. I aimed my fire towards his face. I shot my flames and his face started to melt off of his head. Once all of his facial features were gone, I levitated him over to a mirror. Now, what kind of makeover should I give you? I thought. Oh, I know. I snapped my fingers and Riser's facial features have now been changed. I showed Riser his face in the mirror. What? Riser looked in the mirror. Riser now had an ass for a face. His mouth was the butthole of a butt. Hey, asshole. I joked. Everyone tried to hold back their laughs in. Hey. This isn't funny. Turn me back right now. Riser demanded. No. I could have done a lot worse to you. Accept what you are, asshole. I insulted him. You know what? Come back to the room. I levitated him and brought him back with me to the room. Once we got back to the room, everybody started to laugh at the way he looked now. Don't look. He tried to cover his face. Even Grafia was laughing. Which was a surprise to some people. Okay. I think that's enough. I snapped my fingers to turn his face back to normal. I then summoned my pistol and shot him a few times in the leg. Just kidding. I said. I began to shoot him all over his body. Everyone had horrified looks on their faces. And Grafia still wanted to step in to stop it but knew that her attempts would only result in her getting hurt too. I continued to shoot him in his legs for a few minutes. Alternating between them. There was a huge blood puddle appearing where Riser was. I put away my gun and summoned my light whip. Grafia was able to recognize it. You are just a weak devil. I said, whipping him with each word. I continued to whip him with the light whip, leaving whip marks all over his body. He was already dead, but I just kept on whipping him. When I eventually noticed that he was dead, I decided to put my whip away, head back to the couch and get back to sleeping. Grafia ran to Riser to check on him. He had a lot of marks on him and he was still twitching on the floor. His immortality wasn't helping him in this situation. Lord Riser? Are you okay? Grafia shook him, thinking he was just knocked out. It didn't take her long to realize that he was dead. I tried to go back to sleep but was interrupted by Akeno. Good morning. She greeted me. Issei. I turned towards Ria's direction. She was trying to act serious but she couldn't keep a straight face. Can you please bring him back? She tried to say without laughing. Sure. I sighed and then snapped my fingers. Riser sprung back to life. I did put his ass face back on him. Riaz couldn't contain herself anymore and just started laughing the hardest I've ever seen her laugh. What have I done? I wondered. Issei. This is clearly unacceptable. As your punishment, you have to let me sit on you, she muttered the last parts of her word so I wouldn't hear them well. Okay, then. I accepted. Time skip. Everybody was now calm. Everybody tried to forget about what just happened. Especially Riser. This is Lord Riser Phoenix. A pure-blooded upper-class devil and the third son of the Phoenix family. Graphia introduced Riser. Phoenix? You mean they make those phoenix tears? I asked. Correct. Graphia confirmed. He is also engaged to Ria's Gremory. Graphia added. No way this guy. Getting married. I snapped my fingers and gave Riser his butt face back. He's an ass. I joked. I snapped my fingers again to change his face back. Stop doing that. Riaz demanded me to do. Fine. I sighed. Lord Serzich's had a feeling a disagreement would occur. Which is why he suggested that if you wanted to, you could settle this with a rating game. Graphia suggested. A rating game? I have played the game and won many times. Riser bragged to us. Now that's what's hard for me to believe. I said. Because you're one of the weakest devils I've ever seen. I was honest with Riser. What did you say? He got up off the couch. I summoned my magic pistol and shot him in the leg with a light bullet. He felt instant pain and sat back down. Riaz and the others in the room were shocked. You want me to repeat it? I said you're one of the weakest I've ever seen. I repeated. Issei. Stop. Riaz demanded. Wow, Riaz. Learn to tame your servant. Riser retorted. I shot him even more in his legs. He screamed in pain for each bullet that landed in his leg. I'm not a servant, you incomplete KFC order to go. I insulted him. Oh. Riaz. All of your servants? Riser asked. What if they are? She asked back. Riser snapped his fingers and a magic circle appeared behind him. What appeared was all 15 members of his peerage. And they were all girls. I have 15. In other words, a full peerage. Riser said in a braggy tone of voice. I noticed one of them stick out more than the others. Hey. It's you. I levitated the girl in the air who stuck out to me. It was Ravel. Hey. Put me down. She demanded. I put her down next to me slowly. Oh. Red Dragon Emperor. I got hugged by Ravel upon her remembering who I was. I see, you still remember me. I said. How could I forget? She smiled. Ravel. Come back, her brother demanded. Is this your brother? I asked her. I snapped my fingers and turned his head back into a butt. He's kind of a huge butt. I said, pointing at him. Ravel began to laugh as she realized that her brother's head was in the shape of a butt. Well, glad I could talk to you again. Bye. She waved as she ran back over to her brother's side to defend her brother. Interesting. You have so many girls to cheat on Riaz with. Riaz. How does that make you feel? I asked her. Not good. She said. Do you want to marry Riser? I asked Riaz. No. She answered harshly. Well, I guess the only thing to get yourself out of this is to kill him completely. I summoned my pistol and pointed it towards Riser and his peerage. Ravel was scared. It was scary to be on the other of this pistol. Okay. I'll settle this with a rating game. Riaz declared. Everyone was shocked while Riser smiled. Understood. Graphia answered. Okay then. I look forward to it, Riaz, my love. Riser said as him and his peerage exited the room via their magic circle. Ravel waved goodbye to me and I waved back at her until she fully disappeared. I'll report this to Lord Serzich's. Graphia mentioned to us. She also left the room via magic circle. Well, good work everyone. Riaz said. Good work. Everyone said to each other as they left. I was about to leave with Issei and Cherry, but I got called by Riaz. Issei. Riaz called me. I let Issei and Cherry go home with Asia and I stayed behind with Riaz. She patted on a spot on the couch. I guess she wanted me to sit there. So I did. She then climbed on top of me again. Riaz. I tried to talk to her, but she snuggled up to me. I was confused by what she was doing. Please. Let me enjoy this. You caused a lot of trouble today. This is a part of your punishment. She said as she snuggled against me even more. Okay. I decided to embrace her since she was embracing me. I inhaled the smell of her hair. It smelt amazing. I pulled her in closer so I could sniff it even more. While I was doing so, I felt something wet on my chest. Turns out Riaz was having another moment. She began to quietly sob. Relax. I've told you before. It's good to cry and I'm here for you. I assured her. She then started to sobbing hard into my chest. That's the reason most of her sobs were muffled. What am I going to do? She sobbed. She was worried about the rating game match. Don't worry, Riaz. I'm going to help you guys out as much as I can. I whispered to her while slowly caressed her hair. This seemed to be calming her down. "Really? You promise?" she asked. "I always keep my promises," I assured. This made her sob even harder into my chest. "Don't worry. It's okay," I whispered to her in her ear. I guess this is what's been worrying her for the last few days. I guess me knowing about it and me saying I would help her get out of it finally relieved her. "Thank you. Thank you so much." She embraced me even tighter than before. Even more tears started to roll down her face. "I love you," Riaz confessed. Chapter 15. Training before the barbecue. Issei's POV. "Hurry up. Move it, you motherfucking lazy asses." Cherry yelled at them as she ran after them with a light whip. The whip cracked as it would hit the ground as everybody ran away from her with bags as heavy as anvils on their backs. It's been a while since that little session with Rizer went down. Flashback. What am I going to do?" She sobbed. She was worried about the rating game match. "Don't worry, Riaz. I'm going to help you guys out as much as I can," I whispered to her while slowly caressed her hair. This seemed to be calming her down. "Really? You promise?" she asked. "I always keep my promises," I assured. This made her sob even harder into my chest. "Don't worry. It's okay," I whispered to her in her ear. I guess this is what's been worrying her for the last few days. I guess me knowing about it and me saying I would help her get out of it finally relieved her. "Thank you. Thank you so much." She embraced me even tighter than before. Even more tears started to roll down her face. "I love you," Riaz confessed to me. "Well, didn't expect that," I said. "I guess you were trying to hide it, huh? Don't worry. I'm going to make sure you win this game," I softly whispered into her ear. Grafia walked over to us. I looked towards her and she looked towards me. We kept our stares at each other for a good minute. All that was heard was Ria's subtle sobs and sniffles echoing throughout the room. "You have 10 days to prepare, Lady Riaz," Grafia announced to Riaz while she maintained our staring contest. Riaz nodded her head as she continued to cry in my chest. "Don't worry, Riaz. You'll be okay. I'm going to help you win," I assured her with a kiss to her forehead. Flashback over. So that's how that went. Riaz was given 10 days to prepare for her rating game with that stupid cock. So I planned to her and her peerage to where they can win the fight. While I would love to just give them some of my power before their match begins, I want to develop their own magic. It would not only help them develop their own magic, but it would also help them build up their own strength, speed, endurance and so forth. "Alright. Cherry, that's enough," I signaled to her. She flew over to me awaiting her head pat of gratitude. I gave her the head pat she was waiting for the moment she landed in front of me. "So, you all seem to be doing very well. Especially you, Kaneko." I looked towards her and saw that she was carrying the bag with the most weight out of everyone. "I guess I was wrong for underestimating you. As for everyone else, you did decent." I commended everyone. "Come on. Hydration is important, no matter your race. Drink up." I summoned water bottles full of cold water for everyone to drink. I directed them to everyone and we all took some sips of the water. Time skip. "Alright. This looks like a good place. Come on. Let's get started," I said as Cherry and Yurei hopped off of my shoulders. First up was Kiba. He was the first to be trained. Everybody stood by the side to watch me and Kiba fight and me give tips to him. "Okay. Start," Riaz signaled. Kiba rushed me and swung his sword trying to block my sword from hitting him. We were using wooden swords, so even if we were to somehow hit each other, it wouldn't hurt as much as a real sword would. "He's not even trying," Kaneko pointed out from the sidelines. "You're right. You can't really tell, but he's able to see Kiba's every movement," Akeno added. Kiba continued to block my swings as I continued to switch my positions of where I would swing from. Kiba was able to catch it and start to block from that direction. I guess I have to give credit where credit is due. You know how to block your sword while also trying to have the least amount of openings possible. Keyword least. Meaning you still have plenty of openings. I began to demonstrate by starting to swing my sword where he was open. One of his openings were his legs. I took a swing to his legs and he slipped onto the floor, landing on his back. "Like there," I said. Kiba got back up without a scratch. It was now his turn to attack me. I let him rush me. He began to swing and go for my chest. I blocked his hit and created some distance between us by swinging my sword towards his head. He had no choice but to respond with a duck. He was all of a sudden stabbed in the back. Literally. What? Kayab thought. The impact from the unexpected blow to the back had him stunned for a few minutes. It took him a while, but he was able to see that I was the one who stabbed him in the back. He looked back in the direction he was previously looking and got confused. To him, it looked like I was in two places at once. And I was. I had replicated myself and set myself to attack him when he was off guard. "Kiba. Don't be fooled. There's two of him." Riaz yelled, worried about her knight. "You can get stabbed in the back at any time. Always be cautious." The second me disappeared into my shadow. I then helped Kiba back up and then walked towards the rest of the group. Issei, aren't you gonna heal me? Kiba asked me. Let yourself heal over time. Your bones and reflexes will grow stronger if you let them heal on their own. I threw him a small bottle with a red mixture inside of it. That's all I'm giving you. Good luck. I said. Kaneko and Asia rushed over to him for his aid. Issei. I think you went too hard on him. Riaz told me as her and Akeno walked over to me. I think I went too easy. It's always good to keep your guard up. Kiba thought he was only facing one opponent. That was his first mistake. I said as I looked back at Kiba before turning back around. Kaneko was carrying Kiba on her back while Asia helped heal some of his wounds. Thank you, Kiba said weakly. You three. I signaled towards Riaz, Akeno and Asia. Come with me. You're next. I said looking back at them. I could see the terror on Asia's face. It was soon followed by a loud and audible gulp and she soon started to whine. No. I don't want to. It was cute at best, but it was also annoying. I had to levitate all three of them to my direction. No. Please put me down. Asia spouted. Oh my, Akeno said. What she said was accompanied by a little laugh from her. But everything she was saying was getting drowned out by Asia's whining. I'm Skip. No, I don't want to get hurt. Asia sniffled and wiped her nose. Obviously, I worried her, so now it's my job to fix it. I kneeled down in front of her so our heights were sort of equal. I then gave her a kiss on her cheek. She felt surprised by it and suddenly stopped crying. Mr. Issei, she muttered. I placed my hand on her head. Just call me Issei. Okay. And I'm not going to hurt you. I assured her calmly as I began to give her head a slight rub. Asia. You're a bishop. You also have a sacred gear many would kill over. And I mean that. You did get killed over this. I just going to try and help you raise your magic a little more. You also have a very important support role in the House of Gremory. I explained to her. I gave her another kiss on her cheek for some more assurance. Oh really? She stuttered nervously. Yeah. I turned her towards Riaz and Akeno. These two need you, Asia. Not just these two, but everybody needs you. I tried to transition my assurance speech to an inspiring speech. Riaz and Akeno both had smiles on their faces. Are you ready, Asia? I asked her. Yes, Issei. She answered me with energy. Good. Now to my lesson. I walked over to the opposite side of the table. Magic is something that must be used with discretion. Magic comes to those who have a talent for it. Riaz and Akeno already know about all of that, so I'm aiming this directly at you, Asia. I announced as I pointed to her. Yes. She answered. I can feel it. You must have a pretty decent talent for magic. Try to make a magic ball. I gave Asia her first challenge. Yes. I'll do my best. She declared to me. I could hear her make straining noises as she attempted to do as I requested. I turned my head towards Akeno and Riaz. Alright, well Asia's occupied with that, Riaz. I called Riaz. Yes. She responded to me. Come here please. I requested. Riaz made her way over to in front of me. You're a very capable woman, Riaz. You're the king of your very own peerage. Meaning that you have to lead them to victory. That also means that you have to have a good control of your power too. I said. She was kind of surprised by my explanation. Why are you acting so surprised? I do my research, Ruin Princess. I called her. This seemed to make Riaz a little irritated. I had called her princess before, so I didn't see what the big deal was. Hour of destruction, it is. I called out her family's ability. Now I don't have that power. I snapped my fingers. All of a sudden, a bunch of demonic magic appeared in my hand. Amazing, Riaz thought to herself. How did you suddenly just get demonic energy? Riaz asked me. It's kind of simp. I'm done. Asia called out to me. I looked in her direction and saw that she had a yellow magic ball levitating in her hand. Oh my, impressive, Asia. Akeno commended her. Oh, thank you so much. Asia accepted the praise that she was getting. That is amazing of you, Asia. And did you get hurt? I asked her. No. She answered. That's right. I then did something Riaz did not expect. I threw a ball of demonic magic towards her. Riaz didn't expect it and the ball was fast so she couldn't react in time to save herself. Riaz was pushed out of the way of the ball and someone else was hit with it. Riaz blacked out for a few seconds but woke up and recovered quickly. Hyoudou. She ran over to her knight to see if he was alright. Kiba pushed her out of the way and took the hit for her. Worried about him, she picked him up and helped bring him back to the couch. What's wrong with you? You're still healing. If you move around, the healing will take longer and you know that. Riaz explained to her even more injured knight. Sorry President, he said in defeat with his voice barely being audible. Asia rushed over too. But I do appreciate you saving me from that blast. So thank you. Riaz thanked Kiba. See? You should be thanking him. I, on the other hand, had eyes staring at me from all angles. What's wrong with you, Issei? You hurt him even more. You also could have hurt me. Riaz was fumed. I'm sorry. I apologized half-assedly. And what was that? How do you know my family's technique? Riaz interrogated me. Well, it's not exactly a secret. And don't be jealous just because I can use it better than you can. I teased her a little. Her face turned a little bit red. I was right, she was kind of jealous. Don't worry. Give him this. A purple drink appeared in my hand. I gave it to Riaz and she fed it to Kiba. The moment the substance entered his mouth, he fell asleep. What does it do? Riaz asked in a worried tone. Stop worrying. It'll heal him faster and he'll have a better sleep. As for when he'll wake up, I'll let you think about that. I said. Don't worry. He's fine. Come on. I have to get to Kaneko. I'm going to train her after you. Let's finish off this with you and Akeno. I want you to launch your most powerful attacks into these jars. I requested. They both did as I asked. Akeno seems to have some pretty nice control over her magic. Meanwhile, your magic's all aggressive. I evaluated their magic from the jars. Well done, Akeno. I praised her. Thank you, Issei. Looks like I beat you in something, President. Akeno giggled at her little victory as she accepted my praise. Well, that's it. We'll do more later. And good job, Asia. I made sure to commend Asia before I opened my magic circle to Kaneko. Through the magic circle was a forest. The circle closed behind me and then I went on a journey to look for Kaneko. Kaneko? Where are you? I'm here now. I tried to make callouts to her by calling her name. I received dead silence as a response. I could hear something rushing towards me. I could hear twigs being stepped on and broken. The sound continued to get closer. I turned around and I saw that I was being chased by Kaneko herself. Having Kaneko run at anyone like that would be terrifying. I'd hate to be weak and have to be on the other side of that. I now knew my opponent's whereabouts. When Kaneko got close to me, I swung my fist towards her. Kaneko had to use up all of her strength just to try and keep my fist from colliding with her gut. It unfortunately failed for her. Upon impact, she was sent flying into multiple trees. She went crashing through many trees and eventually stopped. After she crashed into the trees, she looked pretty beat up. I helped her up off of the trees. Thanks. She said quietly, trying to hide how much pain she was in. She saw what happened to Kiba. So she didn't expect to be healed. But I decided that I should actually fight her instead of doing what I did to her in order to evaluate her and see where I can help her. I snapped my fingers and in an instant, all of Kaneko's bones and wounds were healed. You took long, so I thought I'd practice a surprise attack. Kaneko explained to me. She brushed off the dust on her knees. Well, it wasn't a bad one. If I were someone else, I would have been badly injured. Good job on that one, I guess. I said. I guess we should actually fight. Come on, Kaneko. Show me what you've got. I commanded. Kaneko nodded in my direction and got in her battle position. I signaled for us to start our battle. Kaneko stayed in her place, as did I. I both looked at each other's movements carefully. After a few seconds of us staring at each other, Kaneko started to make her moves. She started by backflipping her way over to me. She then got her leg ready to give me a strong kick to my gut. When she felt that she was close enough to me, she delivered a strong kick to my gut. It was such a strong kick that she, in fact, injured herself from the impact of my gut. Nice kick. Alright. Enough playing around. Attack me like you want to kill me. I demanded. Kaneko nodded to my request and started to do exactly that. She put on her gloves and did a few seconds worth of stretching before she launched herself at me. She began to throw kicks and punches towards my face, gut and legs. She would continue to switch which part of me she went for during her attack. I blocked her attacks easily using my arms and sometimes my hands. She did not show any signs of letting me rest. She continued to bombard me with attacks. This strength is not something to underestimate. You are a rook after all, so high strength and endurance are some of your key traits. I evaluated her. You're very small, but you also pack a punch. You have a lot of potential just like everyone else. I gave us some space by doing a bluff attack. This made Kaneko stop her attacks and back away from me. Nice attacks. Very good, Kaneko. I praised her. I rewarded her with some pats to her head. Her purrs were very subtle, but I was able to hear them. The sun began to set. Me and Kaneko found a spot to watch the sunset as the day came to an end. So, Issei. How did you become like this? Kaneko asked me. Well, you see, when a mom and dad live each other very mew. Not that. You know what I meant. How did you become like this? So powerful. Kaneko elaborated to her question. Well, it started somewhere about a year ago or two. I caught you watching me. I guess Ria sent you after me, didn't she? I asked her. Yes. She said she felt something powerful inside of you, so she sent me to keep an eye on you. But then I slipped and fell. She answered my question. That's what I thought. I helped you fix your scratches and I sent you on your way. When I got home, I found my house blown up. I revealed to her. She gasped in shock. Yeah. My parents were inside the house. I went to check to see if they were okay. They were dead, killed by the explosion. The people responsible were fallen angels. I learned that later when I had lost control of myself. I then got introduced to Denzel. I explained to her. Denzel. Riaz was talking about him at some point. Kaneko added. He introduced me to a life that I had no choice but to be a part of. He told me I was the Red Dragon Emperor. I revealed to Kaneko. After that, Denzel gave me some of his magic. I passed out when he did that. He and Drake would then go on to teach me magic and train my body for somewhere between 5 to 11 months. Maybe longer. I continued to learn more tricks and magic from him. As for my voice and height, I was always a late bloomer. I explained to her. I guess it makes sense. Sorry about what happened to your parents. She said. Oh. Don't worry. They're fine now. I can bring any living thing back to life. I told her. You seem to have a lot of powers that a lot of people would kill to have. Kaneko pointed out. Yeah. If people found out about the things I could do, you know how many people would try to kill me? I questioned her. You're right. Kaneko said. That's also how Issei and Cherry came to be. I said. This topic intrigued Kaneko. Tell me more. She demanded of me. Well, sometime through my training, I realized that I needed weapons. So I created pistols. I summoned two pistols to prove my point. For some reason, there were the souls of two cute girls hiding inside of them. I named them based off the way they look. Issei always has this smug look like she saw a ghost, so that's where her name came from. I don't remember how I came up Cherry's name to be honest. My memory's either good or bad. I explained to her. Right. I have another question. How did you become a dragon? Kaneko asked me. Well, it was Drake that helped me with that to be honest. I have Drake inside of me and since he's a dragon, he was able to help with my transformation. Which is why my face shows only this expression and I can barely raise my voice. Not that I'd like to anyway. I explained to her even more. That's amazing. You've been through so much. She comforted me by snuggling up to me. I guess so. I didn't realize how inhuman I was. I'm this powerful being that can do anything it wants without being stopped. I said. Well, I like this version of you. You gave that infinite chocolate bar. She reminded me. Oh yeah. I guess I did do that. It's pretty weird if you think about it. I've done so much bad stuff and so much good stuff. Makes me wonder how I got three mates. I said. 3? I thought you only had 2. Kaneko said to me. Yeah. I have a great Satan as one of my mates. Seraphol Leviathan. I revealed to Kaneko. Really? No way. How is Sona going to react? Kaneko thought. I don't know. All I know is that Sona's sister is one hot woman. No denying that. I said. Well, enough chatting. We have to get back to the group. I put her onto my shoulders. Man, your thighs they feel. You don't say anything she said. Her face was a clear red. Okay. If you say so. Hold tight. I said as I opened up the magic circle. I hopped through it with Kaneko on my shoulders. The magic circle led us to inside of my house. It's so big. Yes, I know. I interrupted Kaneko and finished her sentence for her. Literally everybody says that the moment they're let into my house. I explained to her. Sorry. She apologized to me. No need to apologize. After all, you didn't know. I said. I stopped talking when I smelled something coming from the kitchen. While walking with Kaneko, I looked and saw Kiba sleeping on the living room couch. It seems he's doing alright. Healing is a slow process. I walked past him and continued into the kitchen. I was greeted by three ladies in aprons. Riaz was cutting some onions, Akeno was stirring the pot and Asia was peeling some potatoes. What's going on? I wondered. Issei and Cherry soon appeared in the room. We decided to put them on the wait list. Cherry revealed to me. I mean, I see no problem with it. I accepted what Cherry told me. Oh. Welcome home, Issei. Kaneko. Riaz welcomed us both back to the house. Great to see you two back here in one piece. Akeno bowed down a little as she welcomed us back. They were only wearing aprons, so it made their treasures a little easier to see. Kaneko unfortunately caught sight of this and called me out on it. Where are you looking, Issei? Kaneko called me out. A very special place I would like to place the soup's done. Asia announced to everyone. Soon, Mom and Dad walked into the room. Oh. The food's done. Thank you so much, Riaz, Akeno, Asia. My dad said his thanks to the girls for making the dinner. We all sat down to eat. My mom and dad took their food up to their room because they like to be comfortable in bed when they eat. Issei. You're still staring at me with those eyes. Akeno pointed out. Is there a place you wanna see? Akeno teased me with a little laugh at the end. Yes. I was interrupted by Ria's clearing her throat aggressively. So Kaneko. How was your training with Issei? Ria's asked her. It was fun. He said I was strong for what I am now and said I had a lot of potential. Kaneko answered Ria's question. Is that true, Issei? Ria's turned to me and asked me the question. Yeah, it is. You all have a certain potential inside all of you. I'll try to help you all find some of it before your rating game. If it comes to it, I'll kill him. Just say the words. I said as I put a spoonful of the soup inside my mouth. This is good. Great job with the soup. I praised everyone who made the dinner as I took more sips of the soup into my mouth. Oh my, we're glad that you enjoy it. Akeno giggled. Hey Cherry. How's Night Boy doing? I asked her. Right now, Cherry was feeding Kiba his soup. He's fine. Maybe you should just heal him, Issei. Cherry suggested to me. Yurei nodded at her suggestion. Fine. I guess he's rested enough. I sighed. I put my hand out towards Kiba. A yellow glow began to engulf Kiba all over his body. The regeneration was fast and 100% accurate. His bones came intact once again. I wanted him to remain asleep, so I made sure that he stayed that way. The glow quickly disappeared from his body and he remained asleep. I turned back to the table to continue eating my soup. I had people staring at me from all of my angles. Basically, I've attracted unwanted attention. Again. What are you looking at? I asked everyone who had their eyes directed towards me. You're so intriguing, Issei. Kaneko mentioned. You're able to do something that takes hundreds of people to do. Millions at most. Akeno added. I mean, I just do it. I went back to eating my soup and so did everybody else. A bit of time passed and I was about to start my shower. I walked in and to my surprise, there was someone inside. I decided that Riaz and the others would be staying at my house from now on. I asked my parents if they could. I mean, we have a lot of room, so why not? My dad said, welcoming the idea of them staying here. That was what we agreed on. So now everyone has their own room in the house. I didn't know anyone would be in the shower at this time. It's almost midnight and each room has one bathroom, two at most. I couldn't assume it was one of the girls because they were both sleeping. Someone inside? I asked. I heard a gasp from inside the shower. I unveiled the curtains from the shower. To my surprise, it was Riaz that was behind the curtains. Oh. Hey. I greeted her. Hi. She stuttered. We decided to shower together for the first time. She said that she loved me. And to admit it, I did love her back. But sadly, we couldn't be together until this thing with Rizer was over. It was an arranged marriage that was set up by their parents. I'll make a note to kill them when I see them. Also that scum brother of hers. She's your sister for God's sake. Like with everything else, I'll take care of this. You let your sister be captured by Fallen and taken to a prison where she could have been raped or worse. I was able to get everyone out safely and everyone was compensated. Issei? I heard someone calling out to me. I was deep in my thoughts so their voice was hard to hear at first. Issei? Are you okay? I then felt a soft sensation being pressed on me from behind me. Oh. Riaz? Yes. I'm fine. What about you? Why are you showering this late? In my room especially. Didn't I give you your own room? I wondered. I had to have time to think. I haven't had a lot of that recently. That's why I'm showering this late. I didn't know it was your room though. Sorry about that. She explained. She had a sad tone of voice. Wanna talk about it? I asked her. She nodded her head yes to my question. Time skip. We are both in my bed. Yurei and Cherry are sleeping next to my sound asleep. Riaz was sitting in my lap in her pajamas. I had no shirt on as I didn't enjoy sleeping with one on. You still nervous? I asked her. The only indicator she gave me was a head nod. Well, it's okay to be nervous about this. After all, your future is at stake. I reminded her. She buried her face into my chest for comfort. I could hear Riaz making slight and subtle purring noises. Me being in her company calmed her down. I'm worried that you're going to train all of us and it's not going to be enough. I'm scared that I'll be a letdown. I'm afraid that everyone will get hurt because of my recklessness as a leader. She began to sob once again into my chest. I hate it when she cries. I put my hand on her cheek and made her look up towards me. I used my thumb to wipe a tear off of her face. It's okay to be worried. It means that you want to learn and get better. It shows that you care for them. And I know that they care for you just as much as you care for them. Maybe even a little more. I explained to her. It's normal to worry about those close to you. Take me for example. I always worry about these two. I put my hands on both Yurei and Cherry's heads, carefully caressing their hair as I continued to talk. I always think something's going to happen to them. They always tell me that they know how to defend themselves. I always believe them when they say so, but I still always get worried. That's why I always carry them around me everywhere I go. I explained to her. She stopped crying for a little bit. Her eyes began to lit up as I continued my explanation. It's perfectly normal in your case too. It's okay to worry, but it's not okay to let those feelings get to you. Trust me when I say you're a good leader. I added. Unlike that student council bitch. Doesn't know where trouble is even when it's being shoved in her face. I joked. This seemed to make her laugh a little. I was confused when I heard a little laugh escape her mouth. Something funny? I asked her. No. She wiped her eye. Thank you, Issei. Not just for accepting our request for your help, but also for being a good person to me. She began to cry again. It's like I can't catch a break between her and her tears. Come on, Riaz. You know I'll always be here whenever you need something. Or if you need me to kill someone. I said to her. I began to run my hands through her thick red hair and started to caress it gently. After a few seconds, she started to calm down. You want to go to sleep now? I asked her. She nodded her head yes. As I expected. I got into a back sleeping position. With Riaz on top of me and these two next to me, I put the blanket on top of all three of us and drifted off to sleep. Third person's POV. Grafia began to approach the large throne. She bowed to the man in front of her before standing tall awaiting his next words. Just as I expected. Serziches said. Yes. Grafia confirmed for Serziches. How typical of her. Right, Grafia. Serziches asked her. You may be right. But her chances of winning have gone up quite high. Grafia revealed to him. Really? How so? Serziches asked her. Grafia backed to flashback to Issei's encounter with Rizer. It gave her a little chuckle. Something wrong? Serziches questioned her. Lord Serziches, what I'm about to show you will probably give you a little laugh too. She said. Oh. He said. Grafia played back a hologram of what happened between Issei and Rizer. From trying to burn him and his mates on the couch to Issei completely giving Rizer's face an absolute ass of a makeover. Literally. It did make Serziches chuckle a little. But the part where he stopped chuckling was when Issei started to actually hurt him. That was when he got serious again. He watched a hologram replay not looking away for a second as Issei completely destroyed him and brought him back to life like it was nothing. The hologram ended there. That was interesting. This is just a guess, but is that the Red Dragon Emperor? He asked. Yes. Our first encounter was not a pleasant one I'd like to remember. Grafia said. Why? He asked her. When I tried to get into contact with Riaz, I found that she was in someone's house. It was a pretty big house. When I tried to get in, there was a magic barrier around it to prevent people from getting in. Grafia explained to Serziches. That's pretty smart. Even I've never thought of that. He admitted. I was then brought inside and then beaten up by a light whip. Grafia added. By the Red Dragon Emperor? Serziches wondered. No. One of his mates. It's not just him. He has two other mates that live with him in that residence. Grafia explained. I guess they thought you were breaking into their house. I mean, that's not the way I would have dealt with that situation, but I guess he doesn't attack without reason to now. Which is good. Now what does this have to do with Ria's chances of winning going up? He asked switching back to the original topic. Yes. Grafia played another hologram replay of Riaz in Issei's arms, crying in his chest as Issei comforted her. Oh. That's a turn of events if I do say so myself. Issei Hyoudou. 17 years old, I'm guessing. Serziches wondered. Correct. I believe that this Issei will be assisting Lady Riaz and her peerage to help them win the rating game. Grafia stated. Very interesting. But if he thinks this'll make me forget what he's done, he's wrong. Serziches said. If I may, he did what you and the four great Satans have been trying to do for over 10 years in the matter of just a few days. You remember, right? It's up on SuperMe. Oh. It's not there anymore. Grafia was surprised to see that the video wasn't up anymore. It isn't. But yeah. I remember. He saved everyone. Without any casualties. Well, except for those fallen. Serziches said. They had it coming. Besides, many wanted to see those people die. Maybe that's why it was removed. Anyway, you're forgetting that Riaz and Sona were among those that he saved. Grafia reminded him. Serziches got a little frustrated but quickly calmed down. With the White Dragon Empress on the side of evil, perhaps you should try to work with him. After all, it would be nice and we do need him on our side. Grafia suggested. Until then, I'm thrilled to see this outcome. Riaz will be getting out of a marriage thanks to the man that she truly loves. Grafia mentioned. That's true. We do know that she has feelings for him. But he needs to be put away. He's a danger to all devilkind. Serziches reminded Grafia. You may be right. But if you want to challenge yourself, go ahead. And please wait until Riaz is freed from this. I know you don't want her to be bound by this anymore. Grafia suggested. I guess you're right. And what exactly do you mean when you say if you want to challenge yourself? Surziches asked her. This Red Dragon Emperor is extremely powerful. You will need to take very high precaution when dealing with him. His knowledge of magic is way superior to anyone I've ever seen. He's very talented when it comes to magic. Not only that, but he is also very strong physically. And I mean very. Grafia's words were starting to make Surziches tremble a little. The very thought of Issei and what he could do was a thought he didn't want to cross his mind. It's all up to you and what you want to do. Grafia left the large room with those being her final words. Issei Hyoudou, Red Dragon Emperor. Whatever you like to be called. Please save my sister from what she has been bound to. Surziches said with his head down in shame from not being able to do anything to save her himself. The next residence, Ravel. Riser called out to her sister. Yes, brother. She answered to his request. Who was that? That man that was sleeping in the room? Riser asked about Issei. That would be the Red Dragon Emperor. We don't know much about him yet, but what we do know is that he's crazy powerful. Ravel explained to Riser. HMMMPH. He didn't get burned by my flames when I tried to burn him. No one's ever been so resistant to my flames. And then he. Ugh. Riser shuddered as he remembered the events that took place that day. Well, you did attack him first. Ravel mentioned before she began to walk out of the room. What's wrong with you? Standing up for him so much. Do you actually like him? Riser asked with disgust in his voice. Well, if you hadn't provoked him, things wouldn't have went the way they did, right? Ravel tried not to let Riser switch the topic while she tried to hide her little crush for the Red Dragon Emperor. Riser knew that Ravel was right and he was wrong. He didn't know what to say. Ravel walked out of the room after Riser sat there in silence with nothing to say for 30 seconds. Riaz, I will make you mine even if I have to burn that prick and all of your servants to the ground. Riser yelled. Hyoudou residence Issei's POV. It still isn't over. I promised that I would help her get out of this. I woke up to Riaz naked on top me with Ure and Cherry next to me as usual. I decided to stay in my place until I heard Riaz yawn. Indicating that she was awake. Oh. Good morning Issei. I hope you slept well. Riaz said as she rubbed her eyes awake. I hope you did too. My eyes drifted away from her face to her breasts. Why did you sleep naked again? I know you had pajamas when we went to sleep. I asked her. I told you that I can't sleep with clothes on. Riaz reminded me. Sorry, I keep forgetting. I apologized. Don't worry about it. She accepted my apology. Come on. Let's go wake everybody up. I was about to get up from the bed, but I felt someone tug onto me. Can we stay in that position a bit longer? Please. Riaz asked, adding a please at the end. Fine, I guess. I felt more than just Riaz's arms tugging onto me. Please stay. Ure spoke from the bed. Come on, Issei. Let's stay like this for a little bit longer. Cherry begged. Who am I to turn down and invite to sleep a little longer with three girls? Time skip. Kibba swung his sword at my chest. Easily, I was able to dodge his swings. I quickly got some ground and awaited his next attack. Come on, Kibba. Riaz cheered for her knight. Kibba began to walk. His walking soon turned into sprinting and he had his sword above his shoulder. He was a knight, so the speed he's running at now was pretty much expected. As expected of a knight. But you still have some openings. I swung my sword towards him. All of a sudden, a bunch of different kinds of swords came sprouting from the ground. I was able to dodge them all. None of them were able to lay a scratch on me. What was that? I've never seen you do that before. I asked intrigued. Kibba's sacred gear. Sword birth. Riaz answered. So that's it. Pretty nice one you have there. Use it well. I swung my wooden sword towards his hip. He was barely blocking it with his own sword. You've noticed your openings. That's the first step. On to the next step. Another Issei came out from my shadow. Oh no. Not this again. Kaneko said. Hyoudou. Watch out. Riaz warned him. Don't worry. I've got this, President. He jumped very high dodging both of our swings. He used his sword birth to make swords come out of the ground. He did this on purpose so that we would give him some space. Come on, let's finish this. I said. Me and the other me then disappeared. Kibba was shocked and so was everyone else. Kibba looked around for us. He had to pay close attention to the sounds. This would to be very crucial. Especially in the situation he was in now. Kibba stood in his place. He began to focus really hard on the sounds of the environment. Come on. Focus. Where are they? Kibba was having a hard time pinpointing our exact location. Until. Behind. He thought. He turned around, just barely in time to save himself. Hyoudou. Riaz yelled. Kibba held his sword in front of his face, blocking my sword from being able to slash at him. Behind me again. He thought to himself. He pushed my sword away and jumped away from the other me about to slash at his head. We'll end it there for now. I said. Kiba was relieved and so was everyone else watching. Good job, Kiba. You've been getting better since the start. Keep it up. I commended him. Thank you. Kiba said. Hyoudou. Riaz ran towards him and gave him a hug. Are you okay? She asked Kiba. Yes, President. I'm fine. I suffered some minor injuries. Nothing that won't heal over time. Kiba said to her. Thank goodness. She hugged him tighter. President, you're squeezing me. Kiba said. Oh. Sorry. Riaz apologized and immediately let go of him. Alright. Magic time. Let's see how much you've improved. I put my hand out in Asia, Akeno and Riaz started to levitate. I took them with me to a mountain. This was going to be the place where we practiced this time. Here we are. I said. I let them down after our slow walk to the mountain. It's hot here. Asia complained. Here. I summoned bottles of cold water for everyone to drink. Once they all took a sip of their water, I began. Alright. Last time, I think we found out Asia was able to make a magic ball, right? I asked. Yes. Asia answered. Good. Now I'm gonna put your healing to the test, Asia. I stated. What? How? Asia asked curiously. I snapped my fingers. Once I did, a large canopy appeared with a lot of different people with all kinds of different injuries inside it. What? Asia was shocked. We all walked inside of it. Everyone was horrified and amazed at the same time. Issei. Are these real people? Asia demanded to know. I'm going to leave that to your imagination. Your goal is to make sure everyone in here is healed properly. You'll know you've healed them when this happens. I explained. To show an example, I grabbed a random person from inside of the canopy. They looked badly beaten up. With just a snap of my fingers, the person was healed. After a few seconds. He slowly faded away into nothing. Oh. That's horrible. Asia said. No. You'll be doing a good thing by healing all of these people. You start now. Go. I demanded. Yes. Asia ran off into the canopy to start. I hate making her see things like that. But it was for her training. I can't have her sit there and be useless. I said. Now for you too. Riaz. The way you use your magic is too reckless. If you let your emotions get in the way of the battle, it makes the chance of you losing go higher. Plus, while you may be powerful, you have to have control of your magic. The same goes for you, Akeno. You have a lot of talent for magic. But you could always use another push. I explained to the both of them. Now watch. I used Ria's power of destruction to completely level the mountain to the ground. Riaz and Akeno were both amazed by the use of the magic. Alright. Riaz, you try. I snapped my fingers and put the mountain back where it was in its full state. Okay. She said. Red magic began to completely envelop Ria's body. I walked up behind to make sure that she was doing it right. Make sure you have complete control of your magic. Don't your emotions take control, and make sure you don't let your magic take control of you. I said, holding her hand, making her unball her fist and calm her down. There we go. Get control of your magic. And when you're ready, fire it towards the mountain. I said to her. Control the magic. And fire. She thought to herself. When she felt ready, she let out a blast of her magic to the mountain. She watched in awe as the mountain came crumbling down towards her. She didn't know what to do. So she was surprised when she saw the tones of rocks and boulders rolling down towards her suddenly stop. That was good. Can always be better, but it was good nonetheless. I praised Riaz. Thank you. Riaz accepted my praise of her. I guess it's your time, Akeno. Now, show me your wings. I demanded of her. Yes. She answered to my demand and showed me her wings. But these weren't the wings that I wanted to see. No. Not these wings. I said. Akeno's eyes went wide a little bit. Riaz also knew what I was talking about. Yes. She sighed in shame. She sprouted out her fallen angel wings. Only one showed because she was also now a devil. Is this good? She asked with a tear dropping from her eye. What's wrong? I asked her. What's wrong? You hate fallen angels. You told me that to my face when you came back. I too hate these disgusting wings of mine. Akeno admitted to hating herself. Oh yeah? Does it have anything to do with your mother? I asked her. Akeno seemed shocked that I knew that. I saw a tear stream down her face. If it's a sensitive topic for you, we don't have to discuss it. I said, suggesting that we move on. Akeno nodded her head, meaning she didn't want to talk about it. Alright. On to what I was going to say. You're the priestess of thunder, I've heard. I said. Yes. I am. Akeno confirmed what I said. You two are very powerful. You're also a fallen angel, I take it, that's where your lightning magic comes from? I questioned her. She nodded. Yes. She answered me. Hey. Stop pouting about what you were. What's your mother gonna think? I summoned a hologram of her mother to prove my point. Mother, Akeno muttered under her breath. Tears started to stream down her face fast. Akeno. Why are you crying? Akeno's mother asked her. Because it's been so long since I've been able to talk to you since Akeno sniffled. Don't worry, Akeno. I'm fine. I'm proud of my little girl for becoming what she is now. I am. Akeno's mother praised her. Hope you're doing fine. I love you. Akeno said. I love you too, Akeno. The hologram disappeared after that. Akeno seemed to be a lot more calm now that she talked to her mother. How was it? I asked her. How did you know what she looked like? She asked. I knew a long time ago, Akeno. Let's just leave it at that. I said, ending that topic. Come on. Enough talking. Let's practice. I summoned a few dummies for Akeno to practice her lightning attacks on. Akeno was now focused and she wasn't letting anything distract her from her practice. Come on. Akeno yelled to herself as she struggled to get the last flying dummy. After a few seconds of struggling, she was finally able to hit it. There. I'm done. She said, coming back to me with a bunch of dummies that were struck by lightning dead behind her. Good job. I gave her some pats on her head as I praised her. Akeno. Riaz ran towards us. Yes, President. Akeno answered her. Are you okay? Riaz asked, worried about her queen. Yes. I'm fine, President. Akeno answered. Akeno gave me a hug after she responded to Riaz. Hey. What are you doing to Issei? Riaz asked jealously. I'm merely hugging him, President. Is that a problem? Are you jealous, President? Akeno asked with a teasing tone of voice. Riaz responded to Akeno's claim by also giving me a hug. No, I'm not jealous. After all, we've shared a bed together. Riaz responded to Akeno with pride in her voice. Oh my. Is it my turn then? Akeno asked her. Man. I love women, but they're all so noisy. I thought to myself. Hi. Issei, President, Akeno, I'm done. Ah, Asia yelled as she tripped and fell on a rock. Oh. I said as I ran towards her. I used my magic to heal her and she got back up. Thank you, Issei. I finished. She said. Good job, Asia. I gave Asia a few head pats to congratulate her. You all have done good today. A lot more improvement. I hope you don't plan on stopping. I congratulated all three of them. We don't, Issei. Asia assured me. That's what I like to hear. Now come on. Let's head home. I opened a magic circle for us to head home. Time skip. Me and Kaneko were about to battle it out once again. Kaneko been taking in some of my tips that I've been teaching her. Good. Wait for your opponent to attack first. I said as I rushed her ready to kick her in the gut. She backflipped to behind me and gave me a strong kick to me back. Good attack. Now let's try your punches. I suggested. Start. I signaled. She chose to wait for me to attack first. I decided to swing my fist going for her face. Since I was going really easy on her, she was able to block the punch using her arms rather easily. Nice block. I praised her. Thanks. She said. It was her turn to attack. She did a couple of backflips towards me before starting to sprint towards me, trying to add a little style. Not bad. I said. After she delivered a punch to my gut, she backflipped her way to my head. She wrapped her legs around my neck and used her body to slam me into the ground. This is really hard. Kaneko complained. Why? I asked her. It's hard to feel confident when your opponent isn't even affected by anything you do to him. Kaneko pointed out. I guess you're right. I didn't even move when you punched me in the gut. Here. Let's try your power against someone equal to you. I summoned someone else to take my place. Come on. This won't even be fair. Kaneko said. The person I summoned to take my place was Mitsuda. Half of the perverted duo. I guess. But what if he did this? I snapped my fingers and a pair of white panties have appeared in his hand. He smiled with joy and began to sniff and rub the pair of panties all over his face. What? Kaneko was confused by what happened until she suddenly felt a breeze between her legs. Issei, you pervert. She insulted me. Which I accepted. Look, Kaneko. He's being the pervert he is by sniffing your worn panties. Does that make you mad? I asked her. Her eyebrows went crossed and she started to get filled with anger. Yeah. She was fumed at the pervert in front of her. Well then, how about you give him the beating that he deserves? I suggested. Kaneko nodded her head to my suggestion. She got into her position and began to rush her way to him. Mitsuda caught notice of this and got into his battle position. Kaneko was surprised by this, but it didn't stop her in the slightest. Mitsuda got ready to punch her. Kaneko easily dodged his punch and went for a kick to his gut. The kick was successful. Ah. Mitsuda gagged out lots of blood and spit. Kaneko wasn't finished yet though. After she delivered a punch to his gut, she backflipped onto his neck and did the same thing she did to me to him, only with a lot more force. The blow did a number on his neck and his head. Death to all perverts. She said. After that, she jumped up and landed on his back with her feet, snapping his spine in half. I'm sore, it was too late for him. With one last stomp to his head, his brain splattered everywhere. Now I have your disgusting blood all over me. Kaneko spat on all the brain matter. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Good job, Kaneko. I ran my hand through her head and gave her an appreciative head rub. She smiled and she began to purr quietly. I did not expect that from you. I guess I was wrong to underestimate you, wasn't I? I said. Don't worry. A lot of people underestimate me because I'm small. She said. Oh, I forgot to give these back to you. I summoned a pair of panties that looked the exact same as the ones Kaneko had worn previously. Kaneko blushed hard and swiped the panties out of my hand. She turned around to put them on. After she did, she climbed onto my shoulder. Alright. You okay? I asked her. Was he real? Kaneko asked me, referring to who she just fought. Oh. Sadly, no. As much as I wish he was, I don't want to bother with him. I answered. Got it? She said to me. Well, it's time we head home. Right? I asked her. Yes. She nodded to me. I opened a magic circle to our house. Everyone was waiting for us to come back. Dinner had already been set in the table for us. We all ate the dinner from our respective plates, and I decided that I would be the one to wash them when everyone was done. And I did exactly that. I washed the dishes and took out the trash. It was pretty late out now. Not as late as yesterday, but still pretty late. Everybody that slept with me was already asleep in my bed. I hadn't showered yet, so that was the next thing I did. I grabbed my shower towel, wrapped it around my waist, and went into the bathroom. I saw that once again, someone was inside it. Only this time, it was a bit more surprising. Kaneko? I guessed. I watched her nod her head, indicating that my guess was right. This was very much a surprise to me. Oh. What are you doing here? All the rooms have bathrooms. I said. Well, after I finished eating dinner, I went outside to train a little more by myself. After that, I came inside to shower because it was getting late. I guess I wasn't paying attention to whose room I walked into. Kaneko explained to me. I'm sorry. She apologized to me. Oh. There's no need to apologize to me. I'll just see myself out until you're done. I began to walk out of the bathroom. I was stopped by a tug to my arm. Wait, Kaneko blushed hard. You must be sweaty from training us all day. Right? She asked me with a blush on her face. Yeah, you're right. I guess it's getting pretty late and we don't want to be up for too long. I said. I sat down in the bath and Kaneko used the soap-filled loofah to clean me. Even sitting down, your height still overwhelms mine. Kaneko pointed out. I guess that's how it is, isn't it? I said. Yeah. She said under her breath. I've never seen a body such as yours. It's so masculine. Kaneko said as she rubbed the loofah on my back, cleaning it. Thanks. I said to her. Alright. Time for the front. Kaneko said. She backed away for a second, allowing me to turn around, revealing my front to her. Kaneko said, staring in awe at my chest. You need help? I asked her. Oh no, I can do it. She assured herself and me. She began to rub the loofah all over my chest as she breathed heavily while staring at me in awe. She eventually got to what was downstairs. Oh, she said. It's not even hard, yet it's this big weight, what am I thinking about? Kaneko shook her head from those thoughts she was having. She continued to clean me all the way down to my feet. Alright, thanks. You need help? I asked her. I'm scared. She said. Not the answer I was looking for, but go on. I let her continue. We're gonna have to fight for Rias. What if we're not good enough? What if I'm not good enough? What will happen if we lose? Does that mean she has to marry someone she doesn't love? I stopped Kaneko's spiraling. Don't worry about that. Because you're going to win. I'm trying to assure that. You're going to win, Kaneko. Don't you dare doubt what you can do. I believe in all of you. And that includes you too. I said. A tear shed from her eye after hearing that. Really? You mean that? She asked me. Of course. I said, bringing her in for a hug. She gratefully accepted the hug. Thank you, she said to me. Anytime. Now come on. Let's go. We need to get some sleep. I said. We both dried off and headed to our respective beds. Time skip. It's now a few hours before the rating game. Rias and everyone are still waiting to be teleported. Good work, everyone. You've managed to get yourselves up to this point. I only have one word to say to you all. Win. I said to them. Everyone cheered for themselves and congratulated each other. Can you all leave for a moment? I want to talk to Issei about something. Rias said. Everyone nodded and left. That goes for you too as well. I said to the two beauties on my shoulders. They too exited the room the same way everyone else did. What is it, Yuna? I was interrupted by Rias giving me a kiss on my lips. I returned the kiss and it went on for a few seconds before we decided to break up our kiss. Thank you so much, Issei. Rias thanked me. That's what that was. I mean, you're welcome. I accepted her thanks. I feel like if it weren't for you, I'd probably be married to him by now. Thank you for everything you've done for us. She said as she put her forehead together with mine. Don't worry about it. I was interrupted by Ria's placing her lips on mine once again. This she wanted to go a bit longer. So it turned into a long makeout session between me and her. We ended up using our tongues to kiss each other. It turned into a fight of dominance with me being the winner. I could hear Ria's moaning as we kissed. This is pure bliss. Ria's thought to herself. Ria's would once in a while rub her breasts on me for some extra pleasure. We continued to use our tongues to kiss each other for what felt like 10 minutes. Our lips eventually had to part. We ended up leaving a trail of spit between our lips. I decided to lick my lips to get rid of the trail between us. That was delicious. I admitted to her. We then stared at each other for a few minutes. I could hear her breathing heavily from that kiss. After all, it was kind of intense. Are you happy? You got my first kiss. Ria's revealed to me. Really? I thought you would have already shared that with someone else. That's actually a surprise to me. I said as I cupped her cheek to stare even deeper into her eyes. She grabbed my hand and placed it on her left breast. This is where my heart is. Can you feel it? It's beating really fast. She smiled. Yeah. I can feel it. I answered her. It's because of you that it's beating fast. Take responsibility and make it calm down. She requested. I put my hands around her for a hug. She returned the hug to me and we sat there for a few minutes in silence, appreciating each other's presence. Has it calmed down? I asked Riaz. Yes. Thank you. She said before giving me another kiss on my lips. We then sat there together side by side in silence. Was the training hard? I asked Riaz. No. You tried your best to give us fair training. I thank you for that. She answered my question. How do you feel about your chances of winning? I asked her. I feel really confident. After all, it would be a waste of your time for you to train us and we lose, right? Riaz answered me. I suppose you're right about that. I agreed with her. We sat there in silence before I asked my final question to her. Are you ready? I asked her. Yes. I am. Riaz answered me. Chapter 16. Summertime Barbecue. Issei's POV. Oh. Riaz. Didn't expect to see you in this position. Someone said as someone walked into the room. It was Sona who had called out to us. Tsubaki and Ria's peerage followed behind her. Oh my, President. What are you doing with Issei? Akeno asked her. What nothing. We were just cuddling, Riaz muttered as she got more comfortable in my arms. I decided to make more room in my arms for her. Well, Riaz. I merely came here to wish you luck on your first rating game. Sona stated. Why does she know about it? I asked Riaz. The rating game will be broadcasted to both families since they're responsible for setting it up. Riaz explained to me. Okay, then. I brushed it off. A magic circle appeared from behind everyone. Out from the magic circle came Grafia. Is everyone prepared? Grafia asked. Of course. And Sona. This little rivalry of ours won't be affected by this. Riaz said to her. Rivalry? Sounds interesting. I guess you can fight, huh? I summoned my pistol and shot a light bullet aimed at her leg. It did the damage it was expected to do. Sona screamed as she held her leg in pain. Issei. Grafia ran towards her worried. Issei, I get that you're not fond of Sona being around you. But you don't have to hurt her. And you know that. Riaz said to me. Now heal her or else I won't forgive you. Riaz demanded. Fine. I sighed as I shot her again in the place I first shot her. Her wound regenerated instantly. He's not fond of you, is he? Grafia asked Sona. Sadly, no. She answered her. Will the Red Dragon Emperor be participating in this game as well? Grafia asked Riaz. Well, I scratched the back of my head. Issei. Riaz asked me. Never mind. I said. I will be going to the council room to manage the broadcast. Sona stated. Make sure you keep it fair. Riaz reminded her. I will. Good luck. She said as she waved goodbye to everyone as she left. Break a leg. Literally. I said. Riaz chuckled after I said that. Now then. Your brother will also be there to see the fight. Grafia said to her. Oh. He's here. Riaz looked away as she spoke to her. Hey Grafia. I called her. Yes. She answered my call out to her. Serzich's is your husband, right? I asked Grafia. Why do I feel like this is going to take a turn? Kiba wondered. Yes, he is. Grafia answered my question. How does he feel about Nether? I asked. Now he's done it. Kiba facepalmed as Kaneko and Asia kept their same expressions. Issei. I am sorry Grafia. I don't know why he's asking these questions. Riaz apologized with her face showing a lot of red. Netterer. What's he talking about? Asia asked confused about what I meant. Oh. Don't worry about it, Asia. Akeno answered Asia's question. Grafia brushed off my question and continued with her own. Are you ready for the game? Grafia asked everyone. Yes, Grafia. Riaz answered as she got up from our cuddling session. I guess that's my cue to leave. Good luck everyone. I wished everyone the best of luck. Wait. Riaz. Can you and your servants exit the room for a brief moment? Grafia requested. Sure. Make it quick. Riaz answered to her request as she and everyone else except me left the room. Once the door closed, it was just me and her in the room. Grafia stared at me very intensely and tried to exert enough aura to make me get on my knees. Her attempts failed and the expression on her face showed that. What? He's not even flinching. How powerful is he? Not being fazed by my aura. Grafia thought to herself. I stood up and began to walk towards her. She tried harder to make me fall, but it didn't work. Is this what you wanted me alone for? To kill me? It was a good try. But I'm not someone who bows. No matter who they are. It's your turn now. I only had to exert a little bit of my aura and it made her faint. Weak. I insulted her. I made her stand on her feet again. She regained her conscience seconds after. As expected of you. Please take good care of Riaz. She muttered as she got back up on her feet. I was slightly confused by what she meant by that. I decided to be nice to her and help her back up. Thank you. She thanked me for helping her off the ground. What do you mean? I asked her. I know about your relationship with her. It was obvious when I came into the room. Grafia revealed to me. Okay. Are you gonna tell her brother? I asked her. I'm afraid I have to. But know that I approve of your relationship with her. I'm not really sure if Lord Surzich's will, but only time will tell, right? Grafia chuckled a little. I guess you're not a bad person. We just got off on the wrong foot. Also, sorry about I said scratching the back of my head. Oh no. Please don't apologize. It was my fault. We shook each other's hands. Well, I believe I should go now. It was nice talking to you, I guess. I opened up a magic circle about to leave through it. Wait. I have one more question. Grafia said. I closed my teleportation circle and waited for her to speak. What is it? I asked her rather calmly. Do you think she will win the fight? She asked me. I turned around and opened up another magic circle. The magic circle sat there waiting for me to walk through it. Trust me when I say she will win. I can 100% guarantee that. I menacingly looked down at her as I said my statement. After that, I left with the magic portal closing behind me. Third person's POV. He's a weird one for sure. Grafia said as Issei exited the room. Lady Riaz. You may enter back in now. Grafia demanded. Riaz and her peerage walked back into the room. Riaz. Do you think you will win the game? Grafia asked her. I hope we do. It would mean Issei's training would all be in vain. Riaz answered Grafia's question with a smile. Issei seemed really confident in all of you. Alright. Enough chat. It's about time the game started. Grafia decided. Riaz nodded and got into proper posture for the game to begin. Everyone else got into their position to be teleported into the game. What's about to happen to us? Asia asked. Don't worry, Asia. We're about to be teleported into the game. Kiba tried to comfort Asia. A magic circle enveloped everyone within its radius. Everyone was teleported into the game successfully. Asia was the only one confused at the moment. What? We're in the same place. She tried to point out. Hello. Welcome to the rating game. I am Grafia, a servant of the Gremory family and the appointed judge between the Gremory and Phoenix families. Taking both Lady Riaz and Lord Riser's opinions into consideration, we've made a replica of Cow Academy, the school Lady Riaz attends in the human world, as the battlefield. Grafia explained to everyone. Both parties have been teleported to their main base. Lady Ria's base is the occult research club room in the old schoolhouse. Lord Riser's main base is the principal's office in the new schoolhouse. Thus, pawns can be promoted when they manage to invade the enemy's schoolhouse. Grafia added to her explanation. The game starts now. Grafia announced. Come on. We will not have all our training with Issei be in vain. Riaz yelled. That's right. Kiba yelled. He summoned his sword and began swinging at the air. He stopped after about three swings. We will not lose to this man. Akeno announced to everyone. Everyone got their invisible transceiver and put it into their ear. What's this? Asia asked Riaz. This is how we'll be communicating. Riaz answered. Riaz and everyone else just needed to set up their plans. Meanwhile in Riser's base. Remember not to hold back against any of them. Crush them completely. After all, the only reason we're playing this silly game is to break down that crimson-haired girl's pride. And watch out. She may have a trick up her sleeve. Riser warned everyone in his peerage. Meanwhile Riser was sitting pretty in the new schoolhouse. Riaz had enough time to make a plan. Pineko and Kiba were sent to go set up some traps in the nearby forest. Once the traps were set, Riaz ordered Akeno to use her magic to hide them. With the help of their familiars, they were able to get it done. Asia was going to be used for recovery and support, so she stayed with Riaz at the base. "Are you all your assigned positions?" Riaz asked. "Yes." Kaneko was the first to answer back to her. "Yes, President. Everything looks good here," Kiba answered. Riaz would also be getting some help from Sona, who was managing the broadcast. With all the planning out of the way, the game finally started. Kaneko was in her position at the gym of the replica. She made sure that her movement was as silent as it could be. As she hid behind the stage, she would turn around every once in a while to make sure she didn't get surprise attacked. "Kaneko, you're the only one in that area. Make sure you're careful," Riaz warned Kaneko. "Yes, President," she responded to her. Kaneko stayed in her position until she heard footsteps approaching her. "I know you're there, servant of Gremory," a voice called out to her. Kaneko knew there would be no point in hiding anymore. This was a raiding game and you're supposed to fight if you want to win. Kaneko made herself known as she revealed herself from the stage. "A rook, huh?" the rook of the bunch guessed. Kaneko's eyebrows went crossed as she started to get serious. "There's no point in introducing ourselves to you. But since we're here, we might as well," the rook said. Kaneko didn't say anything back to them. "I'm Mira, a pawn." Mira would be the first to introduce herself. "I'm Shulin, a rook." Shulin introduced herself after Mira. "I'm Il, a pawn." Il introduced herself. "And I'm Nell. I'm also a pawn." Nell was the last to introduce herself after her twin. "Looks like that rook's level is high. Her combat ability rivals that of a queen." Kaneko thought to herself. "But it's nothing I can't handle. Issei trained us to handle multiple opponents at a time." Kaneko thought as she got ready to attack them. "I knew that she would go for the middle first. So predictable." Riser taunted. "Show me how the others are doing." Riser demanded of his queen. "Yes. 3 pawns, Sharia, Marion and Buland, are attempting infiltration." As she was explained what the others were doing, they activated one of the traps that were set up. Unfortunately, the trap was futile and did basically nothing. All 3 of the pawns were able to dodge the magic trap. "The trap? That's cute. It would have worked if we were beginners maybe," one of the pawns taunted. Kaneko stayed in her position waiting for the rook to attack first. The rook took the bait and began to throw kicks at her. Kaneko was able to dodge all of them and threw a kick of her own towards her chin. The kick was successful, but because she was a rook, it didn't do much except for make her mouth start to bleed. "Nice hit," she said as she wiped off some blood from her mouth. She got back to throwing punches and kicks towards her face, legs and stomach, trying to land at least one hit on her. Kaneko also was trained to dodge people's attacks, so dodging all of Shulin's attacks was easy for her. "Come on, let's help her," Il said to her twin. They both nodded at each other. Mira also decided to join the tag team against Kaneko. Mira began to sprint towards Shulin, who was getting overwhelmed with attacks from Kaneko. Mira jumped up and came down trying to hit Kaneko on her head with her staff. Kaneko noticed her incoming attack. Kaneko grabbed onto Shulin by her outfit and used her body to block the incoming attack from Mira. Shulin was able to see her come crashing down towards her and not do anything about it. Kaneko's grip on her was too strong to try and loosen up, and it was already too late. Mira hit Shulin straight on her face. Mira's attack manages to break her skull, giving her concussion. Mira was still standing, not even realizing that she basically just eliminated her own teammate. It took her a few seconds to realize what she had done. "Oh no, Lord Riser's going to kill me," Mira said, worried as she now had a look at what she just did. "Not if I kill you first," Kaneko said as she kicked Shulin towards Mira. She wasn't fast enough to dodge it, so she was sent flying towards the stage. Mira was the first to hit the stage and was hit again by Shulin, as she was second after her to crash into the stage. Kaneko backflipped her way towards the knocked out pair and landed on Shulin's stomach. Shulin let out a scream of pain as Kaneko landed on her stomach. Kaneko continued to stomp on them with tremendous strength. They were already knocked out, but Kaneko would just continue to step on them. Eventually she was stopped as soon as she saw Il and Nell running towards her, waving chainsaws around in their hands. "We will avenge them," Nell said as she swung her chainsaw towards Kaneko's leg. Kaneko somersaulted away from the chainsaw only to see another one coming her way. "Ugh." Kaneko grunted as she kicked the chainsaw out of Il's hands. The chainsaw went flying towards the other twin and cut off her leg. She screamed in pain because of this. It also made her drop her chainsaw onto the floor. "That's it?" Kaneko asked, looking in their direction. Nell was too weak to fight anymore. And Il felt slightly guilty for it. Il looked towards Kaneko. Kaneko carried a smug expression on her face, showing that she was bored. Il battle cried and began to run towards her. "Pathetic." Kaneko insulted her. As soon as she got close to her, Kaneko jumped up, disappearing from her line of sight. Il looked everywhere for her and couldn't see her. She tried to find her by trying to listen for her. "Ah." She grunted as she was suddenly stepped on by Kaneko. Kaneko had came crashing down onto her back, slightly fracturing her spine. "I'm sorry, Lord Riser," Il apologized. "Kaneko? How are you doing?" Riaz asked from her transceiver. "I'm alright. It was easy," Kaneko said. "Lord Riser's 1 rook 3 pawns knocked out," Grafia said on the intercom. "Awesome, Kaneko. Meet with Akeno outside the gym," Riaz demanded. "Roger." Kaneko responded to her and began to head there right away. Akeno was waiting for Kaneko outside of the gym as expected. "Hi Kaneko." Akeno waved over to her. "I heard you took out 3 pawns and a rook. What has Issei been doing to you?" Akeno asked. "Nothing. He just taught me how to deal with multiple opponents and how to see incoming attacks quicker," Kaneko answered. "I wonder how Hyoudou is doing." Akeno wondered. Riser's 3 pawns were still trying to get rid of the traps that were set up by them. "I really think this is going to work against us. It's so obvious," Marion said. All 3 of them looked into the distance and saw a building. "That must be their main base," Bulent exclaimed. All 3 of them ran towards the building. After they did, they watched as the building slowly disappeared into nothing. "What just happened?" Bulent wondered. "Aw. That's too bad," Kiba said. Everybody turned around and watched Kiba make his presence known as he stepped out of the dark forest. "You won't be able to escape from me," Kiba said. "You're inside a barrier that our queen created," Kiba added, which put the 3 pawns in a little bit of shock. "Shoot. We were so distracted by the traps that we didn't even notice," Bulent said. "We may be more powerful than the last time we met, but you still outnumber us by a lot. We needed some clever tricks to make up for that," Kiba explained to them. "I don't want to say this because you're actually my type, but do you really think you can defeat all 3 of us?" Sharia asked him. "Want to give it a try?" Kiba asked, which put a frown on her face. "I guess he's doing just fine. Where do we head next?" Kaneko began to walk away from Akeno. "I don't know. I guess we should ask Press, Kaneko. Watch out," Akeno warned her. Kaneko was suddenly blown up by an incoming bomb. Kaneko was sent flying through the air. She then landed onto the hard ground. "Kaneko?" Akeno screamed as she flew towards her to check on her. "Akeno? What happened to her? What happened to Kaneko?" Riaz asked her, worried about Kaneko. "Ha. Riaz. Don't underestimate me." Riser maniacally laughed. "Kaneko? Are you okay?" Akeno asked her. "Yes. I'm fine," she said with a cough. "Okay. Thank goodness." Akeno was relieved, and so was Riaz. "Can you still fight?" Akeno asked her. "Yes. I can still fight. I have a lot left in me," Kaneko said as she got back up. Akeno looked up and saw who tried to knock out Kaneko. "Oh my. That didn't get you. Face it. No matter how much you all train, it will still amount to nothing." Yubaluna yelled as she was about to throw some more bombs at Kaneko. She stopped when she saw Kaneko in her way. "Kaneko? Don't worry. I'll take care of her. You go find Kiba," Akeno demanded. Kaneko nodded to her demand and ran off. "Ah, yes. An even better fight. I've always wanted to fight you someday, Priestess of Thunder." Yubaluna smiled. "Oh my, I'm quite honored, Bomb Queen," Akeno said as a yellow aura began to envelop her entire body. Kaneko ran off to look for Kiba. She was surprised when she was suddenly pulled away from the field. "Oh, it's you," Kaneko said. "Hey Kaneko. Are you okay? I saw what happened to you out there," Kiba asked with concern. "Yes. I'm fine," she answered, brushing off some dust from her knees. "But the number of remaining pieces is 9 of Lord Riser and 5 of Lady Riaz," Sona said. "Sadly, we can't predict the winner yet," Sona added. "Hyoudou, Kaneko. Can you hear me?" Riaz asked from their transceiver. "Yes." They both responded in unison. "Asia and I are going to launch a surprise attack on their main base, so distract as many enemies as you can possible to buy us some time," Riaz demanded. "A surprise attack?" Kaneko wondered. "I don't have any other choice." The plan was to wait for Akeno to recover and destroy each building individually. But now, that won't work since he's already brought out his queen, Riaz explained to them. "But, President, it's way too risky for the king to leave the main base," Kiba said, worried about Riaz's idea. "Exactly. So he must be thinking the same thing. That's what I'm going for. His body may be immortal, but his mind isn't. And if I can deliver an attack strong enough to make him lose his fighting spirit, I can win. I'm gonna break down his spirit myself," Riaz added. What do you think, Kaneko?" Kiba asked. "Let's go show them what we're made of." Kaneko gave him a fist bump. Kaneko and Kiba ran out, following one another to the middle of the battlefield. "Alright. We're here. Come on out and fight us, you weaklings," Kiba yelled with pride. "Come on out." Kaneko also yelled, but it was a little less loud than Kiba's yell. All of a sudden, in the distance, there was dust forming and the silhouette of a person was seen in the dust. Once all the dust was gone, the silhouette was gone. "I'm Carloman, Lord Riser's knight," she introduced herself. "You must be out of your mind to come and face me directly. But I like idiots like you," she said as she pulled out her sword from its holding place. The sword was engulfed in flames as soon as she pulled it out. "I'm Issei Hyoudou, Lady Ria's knight. I was looking forward to crossing swords with a fellow knight," Kiba said as he too pulled out his sword from its holding place. "Well said, Ria's Grimory's knight." She began to sprint over to Kiba. Kiba began to do the same. Their swords began to clash against each other like crazy. Kiba was able to dodge all of her attacks, while Carloman was only able to get away with dodging a few of Kiba's swings, causing her to have a few scratches on her body every once in a while. Kaneko just watched Kiba's battle from afar. After a few seconds, she began to ask, "Okay. That's cool. But where's my opponent?" Kaneko asked curiously. Surely I'll be able to give you a good time," someone from behind said to her. Kaneko turned around and saw another one of Riser's rooks. She already knocked out the first one, meaning she was the last rook. All Carloman thinks of all day is swords, swords and more swords. Kaneko looked around to see where the other voice was coming from. From far, near the trees, it was Riser's little sister, Ravel. "She seems upset about sacrificing some pieces too. What an unbelievably unrefined girl," Ravel monologued. Five more pieces began to slowly approach Kaneko as Ravel continued to monologue. "And when I thought I found another cutie, it turns out he's another sword freak. My goodness, how unfortunate," she said. Riaz was seen sneaking past where the battle was happening. "He's using his remaining pieces to deal with us." President's prediction was spot on. Kiba thought as he continued to slash at the other knight. "It's about time you've introduced yourselves, girls," Ravel suggested. "I'm Isabella, Lord Riser's rook." Isabella introduced herself. "I'm Mihi. I'm Lord Riser's bishop." Mihi introduced herself. "We're Nai and Lee." Nai and Lee introduced themselves in unison. "Cirrus, Lord Riser's knight." Cirrus introduced herself. "We're gonna have some fun." Kaneko got ready. First up was Isabella. Isabella rushed Kaneko attempting to deliver a punch to her face. Kaneko easily dodged a punch and retaliated with a punch of her own. It successfully hit her in the gut. However, she was slightly stronger than Shulin, so it did less to her. Isabella got back up and went in for another punch. Kaneko decided to hold her punch back. That she felt someone about to attack from behind her. Cirrus rushed her from behind, trying to strike her from behind. Kaneko already saw this coming, so she jumped up and dodged Cirrus's swing. It wasn't over yet. Nai and Lee decided it was their turn to attack. They both jumped after her and decided to go for her sides. Kaneko grabbed both of their fists and transitioned them to their heads. She then used this to send them crashing into the ground. They both made grunting sounds as they landed face first into the ground. Kaneko got off of them and backflipped away from them to get some ground. "Nice, Kaneko," Kiba said. Carloman swung her sword towards his head. Kiba was barely able to dodge her swing. "Pay attention. Your battle is with me," Carloman reminded him as she swung at him again. This time, Kiba was fully focused on her. They got back to swinging their swords at each other. It was madness to be there and see the fight happen. "Hey, kitty. You're not done. You still have us to deal with," Isabella reminded her. "Lord Riser's two pawns knocked out," Grafia announced from the intercom. "I'm not a kitty." Kaneko got fumed whenever someone called her that. "There we go. Are you gonna finally take us seriously?" Cirrus asked her as she rushed her from behind once again. Kaneko jumped up away from her and delivered a strong punch to her gut, making her drop her sword. "How was that for serious?" Kaneko asked her nonchalantly. "President. Whatever your plan is, it better work," Kiba thought to himself. Riaz and Asia ran into the middle of the school. They looked around to make sure they weren't being followed. "I was waiting," a voice said. Riaz could recognize the cockiness in the voice. She and Asia looked up to where the voice came from. "Riaz. My love," Riser said from above. Kiba and Carloman continued to slash at each other. Kiba tried to use his holy eraser, but it gets cancelled out because of Carloman's flames. "Unfortunately, that attack does not work on me," she said. "Oh. Well then, how about this? Freeze." Ice began to grow from the shaft of his sword. The ice broke, revealing a new sword in its place. Carloman rushed him again. Their swords clashed again. This time, Kiba's sword froze Carloman's sword and she dropped it to the ground because it was useless. "No matter. We, proud members of the Phoenix family, control fire, wind and life," she yelled as she brought out another sword from her side. Kiba used his ability to make another sword that was her own. "Why do you have so many sacred gears?" Carloman asked him. "I don't have multiple sacred gears. I'm creating them with sword birth," he revealed to her. He used his technique to make swords sprout out of the ground. She dodged them by jumping before they came out of the ground. Come on. How do you still have so much strength? Isabella asked Kaneko. She didn't answer. She just continued to throw punches at her. You're very good. You defeated those two, too. But you will not defeat us so easily. Isabella said as she rushed ready to land a hit on her face. Her fist got kicked away and she received a punch from Kaneko to the face. She was sent crashing into one of the trees around them, doing some pretty severe damage to her head. Oh no, she's so strong, she muttered to herself before she finally fainted from loss of blood from her head. Lord Riser's rook, knocked out. Grafia announced once again from the intercom. You. Cirrus rushed her with her sword. Kaneko was easily able to stop the sword's motion. Cirrus was shocked to see that she caught her sword. Kaneko then began to swing her sword around with Cirrus holding onto it. She was getting very dizzy from this and she was soon flung across the field by Kaneko. She landed in the same place that Isabella landed in. Lord Riser's knight, knocked out. Grafia announced. Phew. Kaneko brushed off the dust she had from that fight. Kaneko felt like she wasn't done. And right is what she was. She forgot about Mihi. But soon remembered as she felt someone approaching her very fast. Kaneko responded to this by waiting for her to come closer. She then delivered a powerful uppercut to her head, sending her into the air. Kaneko jumped up and delivered a kick to her, which sent her flying into the ground. Ravel was both shocked and speechless at the same time. Kaneko just took on five people and beat them all seamlessly. What's wrong? Kaneko asked her as she started to slowly approach her. Ravel began to panic. She just watched Kaneko win a 5v1. I'm not here to fight. I'm just a spectator for my brother's game. She was going to try everything to get her to stop walking towards her. Please, I mean no harm. She was now on her knees begging. Kaneko really close to her. She grabbed her really hard by her hair. DPP, please spare me. She continued to beg Kaneko not to hurt her. Kaneko found it fun to tease Ravel. She would do so for a while by faking punches, making her flinch. Please, she began to have tears roll down her face. Kaneko? I think she's had enough. Kiba told her. Immortal. Don't make me laugh. Kaneko insulted her as she threw her to the side like she was trash waiting to be picked up. Are you done with your battle, Kiba? Kaneko asked her. Just a moment. He said with a smile. Kiba used his technique to make sword sprout from the ground into his opponent. Parliament screamed in pain as she disappeared from the battle. Lord Riser's knight, knocked out. Grafia announced. Kiba and Kaneko high-fived each other. Looks like Riaz has this in the bag then. Sona said. Agreed. Tsubaki agreed with Sona. What's going on over there? Kiba asked, looking over to Riaz, Asia and Riser on top of one of the buildings. It's President. We should go help them. Kiba said. Kaneko nodded and they both headed towards them. Asia stood behind Riaz for support and Riaz was in front to speak to Riser. You knew that I would be here, didn't you? Riaz asked him. A virgin like you shouldn't underestimate my experience, Riaz. Riser said. Riaz was getting pissed off. You're as vulgar as usual. Riaz said to him. I guess it's time we end this. Riaz got her attack ready and launched it at Riser. Riaz and everybody else were able to see that it was a direct hit. Riser had to use some of his own flames to block her attack. Nice attack, Riaz. Riser said. The smoke from Riaz's attack cleared up to show that Riser was still alive with a lot of injuries. Some of them weren't healing. What's wrong, Riser? Can't heal. Riaz teased him. President. Kiba called out to her. Kaneko and Kiba were able to catch up to her. Akeno would soon join them. Everyone. You're all safe. Riaz said, relieved. Yubaluna would join Riser's side with lots of cuts to her face and many body injuries. How about it, Riser? Will you resign? Riaz asked him. Riser only had Yubaluna by his side. Riaz still had all her pieces. Riser scoffed at Riaz's question. Yubaluna? Do you have it? Riser asked her. Yes. She answered. She pulled out a vial of phoenix tears. That's it. We can take you on with that. Riaz said. No, that's not it, Riaz. Riaz now had her attention on Riser. Everybody waited for his next move. Riser lifted up his shirt. Under his shirt revealed a lot of vials of phoenix tears. What? Why do you have all of those? Riaz asked her. Riser knows that having all of those phoenix tears means that he's cheating and broke the rules. Riser poured exactly 14 phoenix tears onto the floor. A blinding light began to shine as soon as all of the phoenix tears hit the floor. As soon as the light cleared up, the light revealed his full peerage, all in full health. What? Kiba said. Cheater. Kaneko said. Riser. You know you just broke the rules, meaning I win. Riaz tried to set him straight. No. The game's officially over when the king resigns. I have not resigned yet, Riaz. Riser smiled. No, I'm not gonna lose to a cheater like you. Riaz got another attack prepared and launched it towards Riser and his peerage. The blast got blocked by Ubeluna and Riser. Riaz. I know you and your peerage's magic and strength has been depleted. So how about it, you resign and you become my wife, or I burn and kill all of your servants. Riser threatened her. Like hell. She answered him. Alright then. Kill every last one of them. Riser demanded. After all, deaths during raiding games are considered accidents. Riser added. This time, Riser made everyone tag team someone. They did this to everyone in her peerage, one by one. They started with Kaneko. Kaneko tried to defend herself to the very last of her energy. Sadly, it didn't stop them. One kick to her gut from Shulin was all it took for her to get knocked out. Lady Ria's rook knocked out. Grafia announced. Kaneko. Kiba stepped up front to protect everyone. He gave it his all trying to defend everyone with the little energy he now had. Unfortunately, he would suffer the same fate as his teammate, Kaneko. Lady Ria's knight knocked out. Grafia announced. Everyone was going out like flies. Hyoudou Riaz was starting to cry. She tried to hide her tears and be strong. Yes. There it is. That's the face I've wanted to see. Riser thought as he smiled at what he was seeing. President, get behind me. Akeno said trying to defend her. Everyone's trying to protect me. Why? Riaz wondered. Come on, Riaz. I've told them to hold back. I'm giving you chances here. Be my wife. Riser demanded. President Asia muttered as she started to heal Akeno and Riaz. What should I do? Riaz thought. This was it for her. She had tried to fight for her freedom and failed. Anyone would cry the way she was now. Riaz slowly began to sob louder and louder for him to hear. Yes. I've done it. I've crushed the little pride she had. Riser thought as he smiled while watching her cry. Riaz then gasped as she remembered something. Flashback. How do you feel about your chances of winning? Issei asked her. I feel really confident. After all, it would be a waste of your time for you to train us, and we lose, right? Riaz answered Issei. I suppose you're right about that. Issei agreed with her. They sat there in silence before Issei asked his final question to her. Are you ready? Issei asked her. Yes. I am. Riaz answered him. Wrong answer. Issei said. Huh? Riaz was confused by what Issei meant by wrong answer. Issei then summoned a card. He put it to Ria's head before chanting some spell. Once he finished chanting the spell, he took the card off of her head. What's that? She asked him. It's special. That's what it is. It's for you to use during the game. My little gift to you, you can call it. Issei told her. Okay. She didn't question what it was that Issei gave her. Issei gave her a kiss to her forehead. Only use of your ever in a hopeless situation. He told Riaz. Got it? Issei asked her. Yes. Got it. She said as she put the card somewhere in her clothes. Flashback over. Riaz pulled out the card from her torn clothes, seeing that the card was still in its condition when Issei gave it to her. President. What is that? Akeno asked her. Riaz looked on the back of the card for the instructions. What? A card. Is it a cue card that says I resign? Riser asked and then laughed at his own joke. Riaz then held the card up in the air with the little strength she had. I promise to be yours. Riaz started to chant. Finally. Now say you resign so we can. Riser stopped talking. He noticed that the sky was starting to turn dark. You promised to be mine, she continued to chant. What's going on, Riser? Ubeluna asked him. Riser stayed silent as thunder started to brew up. Please save us, Riaz continued to chant as everyone started to worry about what was happening. Lord Serziches. Grafia asked him. Yes. I see what's happening, Grafia. He answered her. Want me to stop the game? She asked him. No. I want to see what she has up her sleeve. Maybe it's enough to turn the tables. Serziches answered her. He will be punished for breaking the rules. Grafia confirmed. Please lend us your power. Riaz finished the chant. A storm started. The storm continued to grow and grow. Eventually, lightning came crashing down in front of everyone. Everyone began to back up from the middle except for Riaz. She started to move closer to it. Now, dust was starting to block everyone's vision, so no one could see what was going on. A large 8-foot-tall silhouette started to make its way down from the sky. The silhouette came crashing down in front of Riaz. Its large wings expanded from its back. Wait, Asia thought out loud. There's no way, Akeno thought. The dust began to slowly clear up, revealing a large man with dragon wings. The man had his arms crossed and looked down at Riaz. Hey. Did you miss me? He said. Issei. Riaz yelled out of happiness and ran towards him and gave him a bone-crushing hug. Wow. You missed me that much? Issei asked him. What are you doing here? Riser asked Issei, angry at why he was here. All Issei had to do was look at him and that made him shut up. Riser was stunned to speak. Issei turned back to Riaz. Are you okay? Issei asked her. Yes. Much better now that you're here. Issei began to hug her back and she tightened her embrace on him. "Where's Kiba and Kaneko?" Issei asked her. "I'm afraid they," Akeno answered, but she trailed off. "Oh. I see. You've all done good." Issei praised everyone. Everyone came in for a hug from him. "I'm glad you're here, Issei." Asia told him. "Thank you, Asia. It's time you've all rested. You've more than proved yourselves." Issei gave Riaz a kiss to her forehead. "Please, Issei. Win for me." Those were her last words before she fainted from exhaustion. Asia and Akeno soon followed. "Alright. All of you against me. This time, you have the whole underworld watching you," Issei said, pointing to the camera on his chest. Issei was streaming the event on super media for everyone to see. "Now, come on," Issei said. Lord Issei's 1 bishop, 2 queens, knocked out. Grafia announced on the intercom. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.